Hey, welcome. Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 76 here on the YouTube channel, coming to you all the way from London town here in the UK. Hopefully you can hear this. I'm hoping the sound isn't all crackly. If any of the regulars are watching, I know we've only just started. Let me know that the sound's good and the visuals are good. Last week, there was about 5 minutes at the start with crackly vocal sound, which wasn't great. Thinking it's something to do with the Wi-Fi connection. Tonight we're on my desktop, wired connection, hopefully better for you, better for me. Hopefully we won't have so many gremlins, but if you can let me know if you can hear this, does it sound good? Because it sounds fine to me, but until we we get into the live thing, I never know, because it sounds perfect here. But let me know anyway. That'd be fabulous. So I hope you're all safe and well out there. Hope your bass playing's going great. Hope you've had a good week. If you've been out gigging, maybe doing some festivals, maybe doing some weddings, some functions, let me know how your gigging adventures have gone. So if you've not been here before on a Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat, then come on in. You're very welcome. It's good to see you. We're talking all things bass. So we're talking bass guitars, bass pedals, bass amplifiers, bass speakers, bass accessories, strings, leads, straps, anything to do with bass players. George Gandara, good to see you loud and clear. That's fabulous. Maybe the fixed line is the way ahead. So obviously you can see a bit more of my office. This is we did something similar on some live chats a long time ago, where I'd be in my chair at my desk and the camera would film me and you'd see parts of the office. So obviously this is zoomed out from where you normally see me over there. But yes, nothing particularly glamorous here. It's a working office and studio. So if it's loud and clear for you, George, that's good enough for me. So I will rattle through the housekeeping. So as I said, if you're new to Brooksy's Bass Corner, come on in. This is the weekly live chat. We do this every Tuesday from 8 o'clock here in London in the UK. We're doing every Tuesday up until, I think, the 17th of December, just before Christmas. Then we take a very short break and we come back in the new year. So, as I say, we're talking basses, bass guitars, amps, effects, strings, accessories, cleaning materials, great bass players, albums that great bass players have been on. If you want to talk about anything to do with bass guitars, this is the place to do it. I'll blow my own trumpet. I think it's the best YouTube live chat on bass that YouTube hosts. I can't find any others. And the odd few that do occur aren't very regular. They're a bit all over the shop. So you're very welcome here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. So if you've got any problems with your gear, something's not working, or you want to set your bass up, or you need to build a pedal board, or maybe you got your first audition on bass guitar, if I can help, give you any advice, give you some pointers, that's what I'm here for. If I don't know the answer to a technical question, or I simply just don't know the answer to what you're asking, I'll open it up to the floor. Let the fine people here on Brooksy's Bass Corner live chats try and help you. That's what we do here. We're a very nice, friendly community every Tuesday. So everything to do with bass here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. This is live chat 76. It is the 20th of August, 2024. I'm not sure where the year's going. It's flown by. We started back again on these live chats about 7 weeks ago, and I just don't know. The time's just flown. So thank you very much if you're a regular attendee here on the live chats. It's very much appreciated. Big shout out going to the new subscribers. We had a bit of a blitz on subscribers last week, and it's just continued. Yesterday, I think we had like 6 or 7 new subscribers. So you're very welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on board. I hope you find something of interest here on the channel. See the people coming in here on the live chat. Good to see you. Hi, Steffi from Germany. Good to see you. Kevin Allen, welcome back. Hope you have a short scale. Oh, here we go. Just bought 4 sets of short scale strings and a gig bag. Good for you, George. Fabulous. Hope you have a short scale then. Very good. Well picked up there, Kev. Yes, he's a short scale bass player, our George. So if you've not been on the live chats before, If you're on the desktop version, you've got the video window here. The live chat window is that way. If you're on the mobile app, then obviously this is the video window and the live chat window is directly below. So you put your cursor, your pointer, insertion point in the text box, write your question or comment, press send, and it appears here on my live chat stream. If you got any questions or any comments, that's the way to put them in. Okay, so it's in the text box. I've had people going, I don't know where to put my cursor. I don't know where to put it's in the box at the bottom. So you see all the messages and the chat going on, and that automatically updates. At the very bottom is the text box. So for me, I'm on StreamYard, so it's saying post a comment. I think on YouTube, just bear me a moment, chat. It says chat for you guys. So that's where you put your messages and your comments. Next to the chat box, you'll see there's an emoji icon. So feel free to hit the emoji icon, give it an absolute pummeling. The YouTube algorithm loves that. So if you sort of contribute loads of emojis to the chat, it helps this video, helps the channel in the eyes of the YouTube algorithm. Next to that, you'll see a rectangle with a dollar symbol in. That's called the super chat facility. Allows you to make a financial donation to the channel if you wish to do so. You don't have to, but it helps the channel. It keeps us going. It allows me to buy all the bits and pieces that you see here featured on the video. So the pedals, the amps, the cables, some of the basses, or to be honest, I amassed this lot before we started the YouTube channel. The StreamYard subscription, the vidIQ subscription, all of those things come out of my pocket. All the things you see on the workshop videos, the cleaning materials, all of that I pay for. So if you want to help the channel, keep the videos coming, allow us to go for hopefully as long as possible, many years, hopefully, hit that super chat button. And again, as I say, that allows you to make a financial donation to the channel. You can also, on every video here on Brooksy's Bass Corner, we're a monetized channel. Every video has the super thanks facility. So that works exactly the same way as super chat. Super thanks just exists as one of the icons underneath the video window. So you've got the thumbs up and the thumbs down. We'll come back to that in a moment. There's a share button. There's a save button for you to watch the video at a later date. There's the super thanks button. So I think that's a love heart with a dollar symbol in. Again, allows you to make a financial contribution to the channel. So if you watch one of the videos, maybe one of the workshop videos, and I'm showing you something you didn't know before, or how to maintain your bass, or how to set the action or the intonation, or how to clean the fingerboard or change the strings. If you find something useful, something you didn't know before, you can help me out, help the channel out, improve the standing of the video with the YouTube algorithm. Hit the super thanks button, make a donation, and that's fabulous. The algorithm's very happy with that. So the thumbs up, thumbs down. So if you're enjoying the video, please hit the thumbs up. If you are going to hit the thumbs down, then that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Just leave a comment. Tell me what you didn't like, what didn't work for you. Is it my presentation style? Is it the video? Do you not like what the channel does? But if you don't tell me what the problem is, I can't fix it and make it better. So as I say, next to the thumbs up, thumbs down, you've got the share button. If you want to share the video out to social media, email, websites, you got the save button, so you can save the video for watching at a later date. You got super thanks. I think that's about it at the moment in the icon stakes. I might have missed one or two things, but anyway, I'm on StreamYard, so I can't see all those icons at the moment. Underneath the video window, you got description box in there. You'll find description of the video. You'll find timestamps as of Wednesday morning. So it's Tuesday evening at the moment. So this gets uploaded to YouTube overnight. By tomorrow morning, everything we've discussed today, there'll be timestamps. So if you want to jump between the topics in the video, you don't have to watch the full live chat. It might be 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You could run it at double speed and half the time, of course. But there will be notches on the timeline. So if you go to those notches, that's where the bookmarks, if you like, for the different things that we're talking about in tonight's live chat are. Or you can do it by the description box. Click on the time stamp that you'll see, and it will take you straight through to that on the video. Underneath that, you will find affiliate links for vidIQ, Top Cashback, and StreamYard. The Top Cashback one is for UK users predominantly. I don't know if I can set you up with an affiliate link that works for Top Cashback around the world. Basically, if you shop online, buy stuff from various retailers, if you set up your own account using my affiliate link, you'll get £10 of free money in your account. And over 15 years, I've saved with Top Cashback about £9,000. Before that, I was using some other cashback sites. In total, since 2003, I've probably saved about £13,500. It's real money back in your pocket. So if you don't already use Top Cashback and you're based here in the UK, hit that affiliate link, go through, set yourself up an account, check out the retailers, and happy shopping. You'll save a load of money. After those affiliate links, you've got affiliate links for Amazon, everywhere around the world, Thomann, Gear for Music, and Andertons here in the UK. So if you've got any bass-related purchases, might be a bass, an amp, effects, accessories, strings, gig bags, leads, might be cleaning materials. Who knows? If you've got any of those sort of purchases, you can help the channel. Use the affiliate links in the description box. Go through with your sale. Find the item, go through with your sale, and once you buy that item, Brooksy's Bass Corner will get a very small affiliate commission. It's not a very large amount, but all those small affiliates become a larger amount over time. So if you want to help the channel, you can do that. Then underneath that, you've got Brooksy's Bass Corner merch. I can't show you the t-shirt because it's a very natty living color t-shirt from the 80s. I do have a Brooksy's Bass Corner cap on though. Fantastic. So the affiliate merchandise links are in the description box as well. In there, you'll find about 150 items, 15 different designs. We're talking caps, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. I think there's socks in there. There's lounge wear, water bottles, tablet covers, phone covers. I mean, just a million items with Brooksy's Bass Corner branded logos and designs on there. Underneath that, in the description box, you'll find the social media links, and you'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Be Real, TikTok, Reddit, Quora, and Discord. I think that's everything. And that is the housekeeping done. So let's see who we've got here on the live chat tonight. So George, we've said good evening to you. Excuse me. Said good evening to Steffi from Germany. Good to see you. Kevin Allen, of course. Welcome back, sir. Kevin, making a pink Hello Kitty short scale bass for my granddaughter. We need video footage of that when it's ready. I want you to see you playing that here on the channel, of course. Stacy from North Carolina, good evening. Welcome. Steffi's there saying hello to Stacy. So there we go. So good to see you all. Welcome. I seem to be getting a bit congested here. Excuse me. It's very dry here. The air's starting to change. We've got some weather changes going on in the UK. So we're just coming out of summer, and they're saying we're starting to see autumn air, if that makes sense. So we're going to start having different air pressure and all of that. So, hey, the sinuses go into overload again. Fabulous. So we're getting some of that this week, and we're getting some incoming wind and gales and all of that. The tail end of the hurricane, I think, that was in Florida around that, well, Bahamas, Jamaica, Florida, a couple of weeks ago. We're getting the tail end of that now. So can't wait. Looking forward to that. So here we are, Brooksy's Bass Corner, live chat 76, coming to you all the way from London town here in the UK. We're talking basses, bass guitars, amps, effects, accessories, strings, leads, straps, gig bags, great bass players, albums with great bass players on. You want to talk about anything to do with the bass magazines that I used to work for? Feel free. Always happy to talk about that sort of stuff. Also, if you're a returning viewer here to the channel, or someone that's just wandered in and thought, what the hell is he talking about? So we're running a bass channel here. It's a live chat talking bass guitars, but you can get involved. So you don't have to stay just on the text live chat. You can actually come in here by video. So if you've got a webcam or camera or phone, obviously everyone's got a phone, but if you want to come in onto the live chat, you can do so by video. If you look at the ticker running along the bottom of the screen, send me an email, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll then send you an invite, which will allow you to come through to the chat. And once you click on that invite, it will bring you into the waiting room, and then I can add you to the live chat, and we can talk across here rather than text chat. you can actually talk directly by camera to me. So if you've got a problem with a bass or a pedal or an amp or something's going wrong, or you're trying to set something up, and it'd be far easier to show me by video than trying to describe it, you can come onto the screen here. I can see what the issue is. And if I can try and help, I will. If I don't know the answer, perhaps one of these fine people here on the channel will be able to help you. So how is everyone? Let us know how you're getting on, how your weeks have been. So what have I been up to? So last weekend was a funny weekend. We were supposed to do an Uncle Funk rehearsal on Saturday. Was it Saturday? No, Sunday. Sorry. Yeah, we had planned the second rehearsal for our new theatre show, and we were going to be running another 2 decades of songs that we're going to be including in the show. But there was various things, like our guitarist wasn't available, and our keyboard player wasn't available. And without the keys for this material, it simply wasn't a good idea to go ahead, because a lot of it is keys, bass, and drums. And then one of the horn players, I think she was on some gigs all around the country, and it just made no sense to go from one gig to come all the way down south for the rehearsal to then go back somewhere else in the country, like miles away. So we just said, okay, we'll reschedule. And it actually worked to my benefit for once, because on Saturday I had a Queen tribute show in Bangor in northwest Wales, which is about 260 miles from home. And it was a long drive. It was about 4.5 hours. And I knew last week that if I had the rehearsal on Sunday, I was going to be like death when I got there. And I'd assumed I'd probably be home by about 3 a.m. in the morning. So I'd get like 4 or 5 hours before rehearsal. As it turned out, I walked through the door at 4:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. And I have to say, I was so pleased we didn't have a rehearsal. I would have really been struggling, I think, to focus and concentrate with all that driving. So it actually worked in my benefit for once. But thankfully, that rehearsal's been rescheduled into next month, and we've got, I think, about 10 weeks till the new theatre show starts. So looking forward to that. If you want to come and see us, if you're in the UK, we're playing at South Mill Arts Centre in Bishop Stortford on the 26th of October, which I think is a Saturday. I think it's the Saturday. So we'll be unveiling the new theatre show. So if you're in the vicinity or surrounding districts, if you want to come, by all means, buy a ticket. If you want to come in on the guest list, I can arrange that nearer the time. But I can't do it this far in advance because it's just a little too far ahead. But yeah, if you want to come and see us, let me know. So yeah, Queen tribute on Saturday night, which was great, actually. Didn't know what to expect, and they certainly know how to party in Bangor. I've never been there before. It was a first. I'd never gigged in Bangor before, but it went down very well. They were very happy, the organisers, and we've had some lovely feedback as well. So it's all good indeed. I'm just going to grab a drink, try and clear this throat. Just bear with me. It's very dry air. I've had the windows open here in the office all day, just clearing the air and sort of letting the breeze blow through the house. But now I've got the window shut, and it's starting to blow a bit as well outside. The old Hobson's isn't playing ball, sadly. So yeah, so that was the weekend. So what we got this weekend? Trying to think. Uncle Funk at the Hertford Theatre. I think it's called, just bear me a moment. It's got a name, this theatre. I think it's been rebranded. Just bear me a moment. Let's have a look. I will tell you. Here we go. It is called Beam Hertford. I think it used to be called Hertford Theatre, but it's now called Beam Hertford. So if you're coming down, let me know. Come and say hello. There will be guest list provision, of course, as usual. But let me know if you are coming down. Let me know if you want to say hello. I will be there If I'm not, there won't be any bass playing, that's for sure. So got that on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm with the Queen tribute again. We're playing at a festival in Basingstoke, I think. Give me a moment. It's in my phone. This band communicates by WhatsApp only. I can tell you exactly which festival it is. Just bear me a moment. Here we go. It is. It's at Dummerdown. Yeah, I've said that right. Dummerdown Farm, the cricket centre in Basingstoke on Sunday. I don't think there's any other details. Hold on, let's have a look. Yeah, Dummerdown Farm at the cricket centre, and we are on at 5:30. We're doing 2 sets. So looking forward to that. Should be good fun. Should be a lot of fun, hopefully. So that's all good. So again, if you're in the area, in the vicinity, you want to pop down, say hello, then please feel free. Jules Gandara back in a jiffy, okay? No problem, sir. No problem. So tonight's live chat, I said last week we were talking about octave pedals and the differences between them and how they all sound kind of different and how to use them, how to get the best tracking out of them. And I can't remember who it was. Someone came up with the idea of doing fuzz pedals, distortion, overdrive. So if you've come in from any of the social media platforms or direct by YouTube, you will see that tonight's live chat is titled Bass Fuzz, Distortion and Overdrive. Where do you start? Good question. There's no easy answer on this. So I have a box of various distortion, fuzz, and I'm not sure if I've got overdrives, but anyway, we can discuss it. A lot of overdrive and distortion is more guitarist centered. But for bass, you can use distortion, you can use overdrive if you wish. But the one that I find I get the most mileage out of is bass fuzz. I never used to. Again, before COVID, in the covers bands I played with, I generally didn't use a lot of effects. If I had anything, it would be an octave pedal, rarely a chorus pedal. On the odd occasion, a distortion pedal, maybe only just to try and beef up the bass tone if I'm playing in a 3 or 4 piece band. A lot of the time I've just had like a clean bass signal, wouldn't bother with overdrives and distortions and fuzzes. Once we came through COVID and I'm playing in Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno, the whole effects side of thing has opened up for me. Trying to get the authentic sounds that are on record, making use of octave pedals, envelope filters, bass fuzz. So my kind of first introduction to thinking I could make use of a bass fuzz, even though I'd heard it on records for years and years and years, was Rhonda Smith. And I think I relayed this sort of story last week or the week before. So Rhonda Smith was the bass player for Prince. And I heard, let me get the timeline right. He came after Larry Graham had been in Prince's band. So obviously Larry Graham, the high priest of funk bass, slap bass, a user of many bass effects. One of his signature sounds is a bass fuzz. I do have photos. Now let me see if I can do this properly. I might be able to, or I might not. But let's have a look. See if I can. Right, I think I know where this is. So just bear with me. I'm saying this because I've got pictures of his pedal board that I took when he was playing. That's the wrong drive, Michael. That's the drive you want. When he was playing at the Jazz Cafe in 2013, I interviewed him and I managed to get some time looking at his gear and his pedal board. So let me just see if I can call up that picture and share it with you. Here we go. So here's my pictures. I hadn't prepared this, as you can tell. Right, I think it's, oh, that's videos. That's not what we want at all, is it? With the picture, it will make more sense what I'm about to say. Is it in there? No. Okay. Just bear with me. I've got so many pictures here on my hard drive for bass stuff. Feature. I don't think it's in there. Okay, I think it's probably on another drive that I don't have connected here, or have I? Right, I might have. I might have. Hold on. Might be in there. Here we go. Now, Larry Graham. Maybe it comes after that select. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you. Got it. Got it. Right. Let me see. If I open that up. Now we're talking. Right. Let's see if I can share my screen with you. Now, can we? News layout, screen layout, picture in picture. Okay. Now we tried this before, so right, share my screen. Does this work? Here we go. Let's see if this works. It does, I think. Hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can add myself into that. I might be able to, or I might not. I think I'm showing you different pictures in the folder. Right, let's just see if I can shrink that down a tad. There we go. I think you can see what I'm describing here. So I'm just trying to scale it for you. So this is Larry's pedal board, circa March. Yeah, that's me and Nathan Watts. Don't worry about that. Right. So this is Larry's pedal board, March 2013. So he has this, which is called the Juggernaut. Next to it, he has a Dan Electro Fab Tone. And back when he was working with Prince at the end of the 90s, early 2000s, Larry decided not to take his fuzz pedal out anymore, which I think was called a Space Fuzz. And it was like from the late 60s, early 70s. And it just become a little unreliable. And I think the value and the fact that it would be hard to source a replacement meant he stopped bringing it out. Anyway, he obviously did his own sort of research, and he plumped for the Dan Electro Fab Tone. Now, I'd had experience in my band of guitar players using some of these Dan Electro pedals. They weren't the most roadworthy contraptions. And sometimes they kind of did one thing okay, but as a pedal to do a few things, they weren't always best suited to that. Anyway, Larry decided he was going to use this. So fast forward to about 2003, 2004, I'm listening to a Prince album called One Night Alone, which was a box set. And it was from a tour Prince did in around 2001, 2002, where some of the show was just him and a piano. And then the other part of the show was him with his band. So on this CD, there's like a couple of medleys of songs and a couple of really funky songs. And by this time, Rhonda Smith is the bass player. And she's using fuzz, bass fuzz on a Fender Jazz. And it blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. And about, let's think, when would that have been? 2007, I think, or 2008, maybe late 2007. I thought, I'm going to send her an email and just find out what this fuzz pedal is, because it just sounds immense, sounds huge. And lo and behold, she replied. So I'd gone to her website, got the email address, sent her this message, and about a day or two later, she replied and said, "Oh, hi, yeah." She said, "Oh, it's really interesting question." She said, "Because you probably won't believe what the pedal is." I said, "Well, whatever it is, it sounds fantastic." She said, "It's actually what Larry Graham uses." And I said, "Right, okay." I said, "Why is he using this?" She said, "Because he retired his old Space Fuzz." I was okay. She said, "It's a Dan Electro Fab Tone." She said, "They're not very expensive. You probably go on eBay and find one." So I did, and they were about £35 secondhand, which fitted right in with my budget. And lo and behold, when it arrived, it was exactly that fuzz tone, exactly that. It's more of it's like a hyper overdrive, but when you start tweaking the controls, it becomes a fuzz. And it's monstrous. It would take the roof off this building. And it can shake walls. You've got to be really careful with the controls. And that's the kind of drawback on this, is that the controls are really not that sturdy. They're okay, but they're not that sturdy, and they're absolutely a nightmare to repair, apparently. So if you break it or damage it, you're gonna have to buy another one. So that was it. That was the story of that fuzz. So fast forward to just coming out of COVID in 2021, and I was starting to play around with fuzz pedals, and so I had the Dan Electro. I'd bought an MXR Bass Fuzz Deluxe, which you'll find a review video of here on the channel, going back to 2020, I think 2020, 2021. So if you want to check that out, you can. I'll put it up here actually. And that was a totally different fuzz tone, completely, absolutely chalk and cheese from the Dan Electro, but it was a different flavor, slightly different flavor of fuzz, not quite as intense as the Dan Electro, but still like really good, seriously good. And then I started sort of investigating a few others, and it's amazing how different they all are. But then coming away from the bass fuzz side, and also using a bass fuzz with an octave pedal or a filter is really good, very much worth experimenting with. But if you go back for the distortion, the overdrive side of things, an overdrive soft clips your signal. Now, I thought overdrives did a lot more of the sort of harsh sound, but it's not. Distortions do the hard clipping. Overdrives soft clips. So what they do is they're really handy if you've got single coil pickups on a 6-string guitar. They just sort of round the tone out without being like too full on in your face. So where you've got the thinner sound of a single coil pickup compared to a humbucker on a Les Paul, an overdrive will just give it that little bit of saturation just to make it a warmer sound, kind of give it a bit more body. And it sort of emphasizes the sort of lower mids without getting too harsh, too in your face. Overdrive is the opposite. That's hard clipping. Obviously trying to replicate valves being distorted, or a speaker cabinet with a torn cone, you're going to get some of that. So for bass, I can't say I've seen too many bass players using overdrive pedals and overdrive effects. Obviously, you can, if that's what you want. If you've got a bass maybe with single coils, that might work. Give you a slightly warm, I'm not even sure if it's warm, but it's like it'll give it some more definition. But for overdrive, for distortion, I mean, you're looking at players. I mean, there's so many rock players, metal players. It's de facto, isn't it? They're all got those distortion sounds. But for me, Billy Sheehan was kind of my entry into that sort of thing. And for years, many bass players of my age and vintage were after his sound, but it's very hard to replicate what he was doing at the time in sort of the mid 80s through to like mid 90s, because he had racks of gear, he had pierced preamps, compressors all over the place, noise gates, this, that, and the other. Trying to replicate his sound was actually quite difficult. Now it's a lot easier. I mean, you can buy pierced preamps, you can buy the Suncoast versions of the pierced preamps. You've got the EBS Billy Sheehan pedals, which give you an approximation. And technology has moved on, of course. But you know, to get Billy Sheehan's sounds before the Attitude bass came out, it's actually quite difficult, and you would have ended up spending a lot of money to get that tone. But that's fine if you're using that tone a lot. If you're a bit of a journeyman bass player, if it's okay to say that, you're going to be calling on lots of tones, lots of sounds. You're going to need slap tones. You're going to need a good clean sound. You might want a rockier, distorted bass tone, but you've got to cover all those bases. So having a setup that's based around distortion, overdrive, you kind of got to justify carrying that amount of gear. And if that's your signature sound, that's probably not going to necessarily work in a wedding or a function band, if that's what you're going to do. If you're going to be an original bass player playing in an original band or with an original artist, and that sound is your trademark, then, you know, hats off to you. It's a great way to go. But for me, with all the different projects I do and have done, trying to come up with one decent distorted bass tone, and especially when I'm using different basses, all those basses, their circuitry, the pickups, the strings that are on them, how they play, the materials, all of those affect that distorted tone. So it's very difficult to create, whether it's in an effect rack unit like I have with the PV Bass Effects, or having loads of different distortion pedals. They're all going to sound slightly different, and trying to find one all-encompassing distortion that works for every bass in every situation that you need it is actually quite hard. If you're playing distorted a lot, you could have multiple pedals and you're going to find combinations that work really well for you. But for me, bass fuzz is the thing at the moment, and I'm going to be putting together my new pedal board for Uncle Funk over the next 4 to 5 weeks for this theatre show. I've got to find all the sounds. I've got to decide which basses I'm going to use. I don't want to be changing basses like every couple of songs, but we're covering like 4.5 decades of songs. There's loads of different bass tones, different bass sounds going on. So I'm going to be pulling all the pedals out and trying to work out which pedals, which combination of pedals I need for which song to get those tones. So you're going to see a video on this. It'll be up, I would imagine, in October. I'll have pieced all that together, and you'll be able to see me going through with these pedals, trying to replicate the sounds that are on the records. And you'll see me build that board, put it all together. So yeah, so let me know your experiences with bass fuzz, overdrive, distortion. What are your favorite pedals? How did you find your bass sounds? What works for you? Are you able to find one bass distortion or one overdrive or one fuzz that does everything you need it to do? A lot of the rock bass players I've seen with like multiple distortions, and they all do different things, and then they might combine them or not, as the case may be. But let me know. That's the whole topic of conversation tonight. We can come back to over and over again. Bass fuzz, bass distortion, bass overdrive. Where do you start? How did you find your way into using those effects and those pedals? Let me know. Put it in the chat window and we'll talk about it. If you want to come onto the live chat by video, let me know. Again, if you want to join in by video, send me an email. It's on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and you come through. That's how it works. See, some people have joined us. Bear with me a moment. Just going to grab a drink of water. Kevin Allen, Distortion Boss DS1 classic pedal. DF2. What's the DF2? Can't remember what that is. Is that Distortion Fuzz? Is that the orange one? See, Boss really came up with the goods very early on, because I can remember one of my cousins took up guitar a little bit before I took up bass, and he was constantly buying Boss pedals. There were so many variations, and it was just at the time in about 87, 88 where they started to bring out offshoots of various pedals. So you had like overdrive, super overdrive, overdrive feedbacker, and all of those kind of pedals. And there was like this proliferation of distortions, and obviously bass players went and tried them out. But the problem with a lot of those pedals was they didn't maintain your bass frequencies and your bass end, so you had this distorted tinny top end signal and no bass until they brought out the bass versions, of course. So Kev, Distortion bass DS1, DF2 are where I started. Guitarist instantly stole the DF2 and it suited guitar a lot more. Cool. Okay. Stacy, how are you liking this new setup, Brooksy? I do like it. It's good, isn't it? If you're wondering how this has happened, basically I've bought a desk raiser so I can work standing up. I'm getting to that age where if you sit in a chair all day, A, you tend not to get as much work done, and B, it's not good for the ankles. You start getting a bit of swelling up in the ankles and feet. So I'm trying to stay on my feet as much as possible. I'm finding I'm getting a lot more work done as well. So it's good. No, it's working for me. Hope it's working for you guys as well. I know it's cut my head off a bit, but there's only so far I can go. Otherwise I'm going to be too far from the screen. I can step back a bit. I spent a good hour and a half trying to work out where I was going to stand and how it's going to look on camera. But I'm hoping it all sounds and looks better for you guys. Also, it means if I pick a bass up, hopefully I can stand back a bit and you'll be able to see it, as opposed to normally when I'm sat down, you can't see the bass. Kev Allen, Fuzzwise, Electro Harmonics Big Muff. It's a legendary pedal. And again, see, the problem with big muffs, if you'll pardon the phrase, is that it's an easy gag, come on, is that there's so many variations, and especially for guitar, I don't know where you start, but there are now multiple versions of the bass pedal, of course. So it becomes very tricky for anyone wanting to go down that route to know, unless you go in a shop where they've got them all, to try them. It's a bit tricky. It's like, well, where do I start? But Fuzzwise, Electro Harmonics Big Muff is what I use. I love it when people look at this pedal board and go distortion, overdrive, and fuzz. What the hell do you sound like? And different on different songs. That's cool. You know, again, use what works for you, but that's great. That's exactly what this live chat topic is all about. You know, tell us what you're using, how you use it. And obviously on your custom bass, you can have a different channel of output for each string. So you could have one string with chorus on it, one with a phaser, one with distortion, one with fuzz. Excellent. Scott M, you got an Aguilar Storm King distortion pedal. I was supposed to get one of those for review and they came out and they didn't send it to me. Sadly, but we'll get round to a review of that shortly. It's okay, but the Agro overdrive pedal or fuzz is much more my taste. I actually prefer the Agro overdrive to the fuzz pedal. I love Aguilar stuff, of course. I just found the fuzz a little too polite, as I do with their chorus pedal as well. Great pedals, but just a little too polite for me. But the Agro's a great pedal, I have to say. Again, there's a video review of that on the channel. Let me call that up. If you want to check it out, you can. This is the Aguilar Agro distortion and overdrive. I think it's both. Not a fuzz pedal. That's the Fuzzista. And actually, I was at Aguilar in New York when they were naming that pedal. I was out there with Barnes and Mullins while we were out there interviewing them and Spectre. And they were trying to come up with the name for the Fuzzista. And I think we did chuck some name suggestions in, because they said whoever names it, we're going to give them like a nice big prize, and they didn't go with my suggestion. I can't even remember what it was, to be fair. But yeah, but I did do the first review when they came out. We got that pedal before anyone else at the magazine, so all good, all good. Patrick Sweeney, good to see you. Evening. I feel your pain, Mike. I have a pedal board that has to cover so many genres and decades of music. And this is it, Patrick. Up until COVID, I never really used pedals. I only had an octaver and a tuner. And occasionally I might have brought the Sons amp out, but it came out and went straight back in its box again. Same with the chorus pedal. It would be for like one song. I know when we started doing Don't Stop Believing, I was really tempted to start bringing a chorus for that. And then I thought, well, do you know what? Most of the places we play, no one really gives a stuff if I've got the chorus on for that song or not. So I didn't bother. But yeah, Uncle Funk's kind of released that pedal sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Famine. That's what I'm thinking of. But it's kind of released all of that, so that's why I'm checking out pedals all the time, doing stuff here on the channel as well. Of course, new pedal arrived today, something I bought on eBay a couple of days ago. Haven't checked it out yet. It arrived today. So in here is a Boss Dynamic Wah, an AW3. Never played one, watched a few demos and thought, I could use that. And I could do some videos here on the channel. Just got to try and work out how to get into this. Bear with me a moment, guys and girls. It's here. Made a bit of a faux pas buying this at the weekend. I got dragged into a bidding war, which I didn't intend to do, and then mistakenly bid at the last minute, and someone put in a very high bid. And obviously, I pressed the blue button for what the next bid up was, and ended up paying considerably more than I was intending to. But not to worry, I will recoup. I will recoup. So there'll be a video of this. There'll be a demo. Might even plug it in tonight. Hey, cool. They taped it up well. Well done, whoever did the packaging on this. So it's got the original box. So it's the older style box before they went to the black ones. So I haven't plugged it in. I don't know if it works yet. I'm taking the seller's AW3. I know it's very bright. I can turn that light off, but it will go very dark. See, it's not great, is it? We'll keep the light on. So this has some nice features on it. I was checking out some videos that other people have done. Please make sure the manual's in there. It is in the bottom. Fabulous. So it's got some nice features, and one thing it's got on here is called someone said it was a vocoder, but anyway, it's called a humanizer. And what it does is it accentuates certain vowels. So like ow, I'm guessing an O, ow, and I think E's as well are the other one it does. I'm guessing. I can't remember. I watched it on the demo and thought it was very good. But anyway, let me have a look at the control set there. Oh, let's try and get in the focus. It'd be good, Mike. Going there, aren't we? Oh, doesn't like it because it's focusing on me, of course. So anyway, yeah, we'll give that a try. I don't think there's a battery in it. Always check. No battery. Battery clip looks okay, I think. Yeah, right. But we can try that out if you want to hear it later. I don't mind plugging it all in. We'll give it a go. I've got all the, well, I say all. I'm not blessed with tons of distortions and fuzzes, but I've got a few here. So if you want to hear anything, let me know. I can tell you what we've got. Just make sure that don't fly off. So as I said, we've got the Dan Electro Fab Tone. We've got the MXR M80 Bass Fuzz Deluxe. It's there. We've also got, oh, here's the Fab Tone in a box that's starting to fall to bits. That's the Fab Tone. We've also got, I understand this is starting to become not necessarily a collector's item, but I saw some prices of this next thing. And I was like, wow, that's gone up a lot. I've hardly ever used it. So it was bought on the recommendation of Paul Turner from Jamiroquai. Evening, Paul. He won't be watching this. And when I went to interview him in 2015, he showed me this pedal on his board. So it's by 3 Leaf Audio, and it's called Your Doom. You Are Doom. But apparently it's become sort of quite sought after. There was a second version, but people always seem to want the first one. And it's great. It's I remember him saying it's kind of like Stevie Wonder on a clav with like a fuzzy distortion over the top of it. Makes your bass sound like that. I was like, oh, okay, I'll have a bit of that. And then we've also got the Source Audio Aftershock. Let's see, you'll see that behind me. And of course, the Billy Sheehan EBS Purple first iteration of his distortion. And that's about it. I don't tend to use too many distortions. I'm using the fuzzes more than anything. And I've also got an EHX Battalion, which is the preamp. But that's got a load of distortion in it as well. So if you want to hear any of this, then let me know and I'll plug it all up and we'll see if we can get it to sound half decent. Because my issue has been we've been running on the laptop on the live chats. I don't know if when I'm playing, it's because it's on the Wi-Fi that the bass signal sounds so bad. I don't know. So hopefully, now that we're on a fixed Ethernet connection, that might work a whole lot better. I don't know. If it doesn't work, we'll plug in via the Super Redhead over there and do that. So yeah, right. Let's check these messages. Kevin Allen, it is orange, but it's the Super Feedbacker distortion pedal. There we go. Excellent. John Cooper, new face. Thank you for the subscriber. Well done, John. Good to see you. Very welcome here. John's a new attendee here on the bass chat. Hi, Brooks. It's my first time here. Really appreciate your content. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming on. What's your take on multi-effects units like the Pod Go? Well, I love multi-effects units, although I do own one, but I don't use it. So I've got the very first version. Bear me a moment. Did I take it out? Might have taken it out, you know. I've got the very first version of the Boss multi-effects, which is called the BE5B. And I remember saving up for it back in 1989. Boss had never done a multi-effects unit at that point. They had just started producing their bass-specific pedals. So there was the bass chorus, the bass flanger, and the EQ pedal. Black and gold, they were all brown and gold, I think, with the fascia colors. And that multi-effects was everything to me. And I got it, and I'd use it at home. I wasn't in a proper band at the time. I was just playing at college and stuff. And when I finally got to use it on professional gigs, I just found I got a bit lost on it. It was like, right. The best thing about it was so manual. It was all the controls were in front of you. There were no presets or anything. You manually configured the controls how you wanted it, stamped on them, and then they were there. But I was always a little concerned whether it was roadworthy enough because it was a lot of plastic and there was no metal. And lo and behold, when I turned pro in 1995, I took it out on about 10 gigs when I started and realized A, I wasn't really using it, and B, it was going to fall to bits if I kept taking it out. So I stopped using it. And after that, I didn't really use effects for gigs. Just it wasn't a thing in sort of the late 90s. It was you'd find lots of players with envelope filters trying to do Flea all the time, and occasionally octaves and filters for Jamiroquai wannabes. But a lot of bass players, especially on the cover circuit, just didn't really use pedals. It wasn't really a thing. So the multi-effects thing kind of came back in. Well, with Boss, it never went away, but you then started getting things like the Zoom, and then obviously Line 6 once they came into play. And a multi-effects is always, it's handy, but what you're going to find, or in my experience, what I've found when I've demoed them or reviewed them for magazines or gone into shops and tried them, is that what you gain in flexibility in terms of what you've got on offer and what you can put into a patch and sort of consolidate with the effects, you lose in actual effect quality, and you end up, or as have done, you end up going back to a distinct pedal for that effect. So whenever I've played through octave on a multi effects, it's been like, yeah, that's okay. And then if I pull out a dedicated octave pedal, it sounds a whole lot better to my ears. So if you're traveling abroad and you need effects, or all the things you need are in one box, one effects box, then that's great. It's going to save you a whole load of grief, and it's only for the duration of that trip. You've got it there. If you needed a chorus or a flanger or distortion or an enhancer or compression or whatever, you've got it without having to take a load of pedals. But personally, I just like individual pedals, and I like this. I like being able to adjust things on the fly. I have no problems with the Helix and the Helix Stomp and all of those things from Line 6 and all those processors, Fractal and Kemper and everything. But the problem is, if something goes wrong on the gig, can you make changes to a patch if you needed to really quick? And a lot of the time, you got a million and one things going on in your head. Is the bass in tune? Is my vocal in tune? The monitor's feeding back. Has my lead come out of my pedal? Is my lead falling out of my bass? Are the strings all right? Has the string come off the saddle? You know, that if you might not have the time to go in and alter the patch. At least with pedals like this, for example, as he says, hitting the mic, I can just bend down, make the alteration, and we carry on. It's not a load of patch configuration and hit enter 1 2 shift comma star asterisk 3 4. It's none of that. I'm over egging the pudding, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So I haven't used the Podgo, and as I said before, effects kind of started for me really when we came out of lockdown, big time. Whereas before, I do reviews of pedals at home for the magazines and for the channel. But actually getting out there and using them on stage, that kind of really started for me in 2021. So I haven't used the Podgo. I haven't checked it out. I haven't had one here for review. And I haven't really been out in shops trying pedals. I tend to just order stuff on the fly. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then I'll sell it back on. And but I will check it out. If you've got one, let me know. Let me know how you find it. Is it easy? Is it difficult? Has it got good sounds? You know, I love the fact that all the Helix stuff has come on so much, and it gives you great flexibility. But I just don't have the time or the willpower or the life to sit there programming in effects, because sometimes people out in the crowd, they're not going to hear it. And I've recalled the story a million times where I bought that PV Bass Effects rack mount unit, that one there, in 2001 with great intent on programming up all the patches for all the songs that I was doing with my covers band, and it'd be great. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have all these and this and that? And spent a month programming this unit up. Took it out a pub gig, ready to go, sound check. I'm playing. I can't hear any of the patches. I'm calling them up. I can't hear any of the effects. It just sounds like bass. I said to the sound man, are you getting those effects? He said, on my ears, I am. He said, I can hear that you've got a phaser or a chorus or a flanger. I said, I can hear all that. None of it's coming out the front. It's all drowned out by the rest of the band. And I sat there and thought, well, I can either sit here like a spod and try and reprogram this up and boost all the levels, but is then that boosting the bass overall level? Is the sound man going to suddenly turn everything down? What am I doing? What am I trying to achieve? And so I just took it back home and thought, well, it's basically sat in a rack ever since. It's there if I need it. If I was to do a theatre tour with a name act that needed delays and all of that, it's there. But after that experience, spending a month getting it all how I wanted it to be, and it was so disheartening. But there we are. There we are. Aaron Byrne, good to see you. Welcome back. I have a Dark Glass Micro Tubes B7K, which I use my Ibanez sound gear. Cool. I use it sparingly as a drive pedal. Sounds especially great with bringing a bit of oomph to chorus and flanger. Excellent. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. Patrick Sweeney, Stacey says good evening. Hydroman 83, welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before, but you're very welcome here on Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 76. Good evening, sir. You use a Boss OBD3 bass overdrive. Cool. I can use it for a clean boost. That's always handy, but it can get really dirty. Okay. Also, I also have a Z-Vex Fat Fuzz Factory running through the loop of an X-Blend pedal for dry mix. Excellent. Now, obviously, here on Brooksy's Bass Corner, you guys can now come on here by video. If any of you want to demonstrate some of your effects and your patches, then please feel free. Send me an email. You'll see it running on the ticker at the bottom, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, and it will bring you straight through into the live chat by video. So if any of you want to do that, feel free. I'm all ears. That's cool. Patrick saying hello to Stacy, waving. Scott, I'll have to check out that video. Please do, Scott. Cool. Kevin, if anyone has the Dark Glass aggressively distorting advanced machine, I'd be interested to know if it's worth 550 quid. I haven't seen that. I kind of have fallen off the Dark Glass radar. We used to get a lot of their stuff at the magazine as soon as it came out. But I don't know what that pedal is. I will check it out. Mike Fortune, good to see you again. I think you're new to the channel here. I don't remember seeing you here before. Welcome. You use a Boss OBD3 as well. Seems to be a popular pedal, bass overdrive. I can use it for a clean boost. Oh, same message. You send it again under a different. Right, thank Mike Fortune is Hydroman 83. Fab. Okay. Martin, good to see you. Where have you been hiding? We've been back about 7 weeks. Haven't seen you. Presuming you're very busy. Martin Fay, superstar on these live chats. Patrick Sweeney, I sometimes use the drive channel on the Aguilar tone hammer preamp. Yeah, cool. Me too. I do. I kick it in occasionally on Uncle Funkster. Sometimes combine it with a bass octave pedal. See, you like mine's, Patrick. I've said this before. You combine it with a bass octave pedal, super subsonic, although I don't have a lot of call for distortion generally. Okay, cool. Patrick saying hello to Martin. John Cooper, Pod Go. Yes, my band have ditched our backline. Yep, we've done that with Uncle Funk. We don't use any backline. We're all IEMs. There's no backline on stage. And we all play through the PA with IEMs. Excellent. Got the Pod Go for cab and amp sim. Okay, and DI into the desk. I only use 10 to 15% of what it can do. That's the thing with multi-effects like that. They seem like a great idea, and they are in principle, but there's so much available in them now. Like, you never used to have this. It was I'm trying to think where that B5B is. I had a big pull out of all my effects a couple of weeks ago as I started doing those straight out of the box videos. I'm just trying to see if I've got it to hand. But the lovely thing with the Boss B5B was that it was just literally 4 or 5 pedals in one unit. Just lots of control. So it was delay, chorus, flanger, and reverb, EQ, drive and distortion, which is kind of the same thing. And there was a limiter. What it could have done with was a compressor instead of the limiter. And it could have done with an octaver, and it could have done with an envelope filter, which obviously they then brought in further down the line as time went on. But yeah, those things, there's so much on offer that it's hard to keep track of it all. Right, let me see. Yeah, and your point there about using the cab and amp sim. See, I use an Aguilar tone hammer preamp pedal. I don't have any cab or amp sims. I literally go clean out of that pedal into what our sound man gets. And he always says, Mike, don't ever clutter that up with preamps and cabin amp sims. He says your signal just sits in the mix for the band. So we're like a 9-piece band. So we've got 2 horns, drums, keys, guitar, bass, 2 lead vocals, 3 lead vocals, 2 BVs, and then there's all sorts of other track things going on and extra effects, vocoders and all of that. And I think his point was, if I started to use cabin amp sims to try and warm it all up, no one out front's going to hear it over the cacophony of the rest of the band. But again, it's only a cacophony out front. It's not a cacophony on the stage. And I've said before here on live chats, you know, with any band you're in, you've got to find where your bandwidth for your instrument is. There's all those frequencies at play, and you've got to try and work out where your instrument sits. So like my old covers band, we had a real problem with a guitarist that used to play with keyboard and bass cabinets. So you'd have a Marshall amp, a Marshall keyboard speakers or bass speakers, and it would just totally sap out my bass end, and it would get taken over by his distorted guitar with bass heavy speakers. And we just in the end had the same no. Otherwise I might as well not be there. And it's one of the reasons I never used a 5-string in that band, because it just, you wouldn't have got the impact of it. We had one guitar and now another guitar. That's fine, they can find their middle ground, but I needed to occupy the bass frequencies. And the drummer, I wouldn't say I'd like a bass heavy kit, but he had like a 24, might have been 24-inch bass drum, 2 toms, 1 rack mounted, 1 floor, and it was a rock kit basically. So I had to find a way for my bass to sit and where it's going to sit in the mix with the drums, but I couldn't have the guitars. I couldn't have one of the guitar players going into that sort of area. And it took us a while to get it, but we got it. You know, within about 12 months, we managed to find the happy ground for where all the instruments were going to sit, and that kind of worked. So yeah, John, the effects are great, very intuitive controls, and cool to switch between patches and a regular pedal board setup. Very good. Good. Stacey Ann, Martin Fay, hello, long time no see, hope you're well. There we go. So that's all the messages at the moment. So like I've said, if you want to join in here on the live chat, you can. You just need to email me. There's a ticker going along the bottom of the screen. Send me an email, brooksy'sbasscorner@gmail.com. As soon as I get the email, I send you an invite. You click on the invite, and then you're here on video, here on the screen. You can talk to me and talk to the rest of the people. Some weeks we get a few of us on here, and it's it all motors along. The conversation sort of really gets going. So if you want to get involved, feel free. Well, that's good. I'm pleased I haven't seen one person yet say I don't use effects, which is nice to see. So it's just coming up to 9:10 here in London in the UK. I'm just about to open a can of cream soda. So cheers, everyone. Hope you got a beverage of choice with you. This is Brooksy's Bass Corner, live chat 76, coming to you all the way from London here in the UK. It's good to see you. Welcome along. If it's your first time here, you are more than welcome. We're a very friendly bunch. We don't tolerate nonsense. So if someone comes on screaming and shouting and swearing and being generally rude and offensive, you'll be gone and you'll be banned from the channel. We had a few people like that in the very first live chats, and we dealt with them, and thankfully we don't tend to get too many of them anymore. So we have a very sort of nice, polite community here. So if you got any problems with bass gear, something's not working, or you've got a question, you just want to know how to do something, maybe set up a pedal board, maybe you want to set up some sort of effects loop, maybe you got your first audition for a band coming up, you want to learn how to restring a bass, clean a bass, we can help. If I don't know the answer, one of these fine people will at least have an inkling. If not, they actually know how to solve the problem you got. So fire your questions away via the live chat box. Kevin Allen, I don't use effects when I'm playing an acoustic out in the fields. I would hope not. You probably haven't got any power out there, have you? Unless you're using a battery operated amp. But that's okay. That's okay. But like I say, for years, I didn't really, sorry, I just need to, got an itch on my ear. I didn't really use any effects. It just wasn't a thing. I just didn't use them in my covers band. Again, I think part of it might have been just trying to keep the frequencies clear for all the instruments to sit. We had 2 guitar players for let's think, 2 for 9 years. So the band, while I was in it, went for 17 years. They carried on for a bit after I left. But we were a 4-piece band when we started, then we became a 3-piece, which gave us a bit more flexibility in the frequencies range. And actually, when we became a 3, I bought a Akai UB1 pedal, which basically allowed you to play a bass line. I've got it here. It's in one of the boxes down there. And it allowed you to play and created harmony bass part, and you could it would overdrive as well. So if you were doing Sweet Home Alabama and your guitarist is doing his solo, you could play, kick that thing in, it would give you a fifth above and it would be distorted. So it would sound like there was another guitar playing chords underneath. And it worked really well, but it would kind of lend itself to a simple bass line. Anything that was a little bit busy or a bit funky, not always the greatest pedal, but it certainly worked. Very handy. I've still got it. And yeah, I should dig that out, actually. I could probably use that in Uncle Funk here and there. Gareth Harrison, good to see you. I've got a gig coming up with an acoustic trio. Okay. No percussion. Then other 2 members switch between guitars, mandolin, and banjo. I've never done a gig without drums. Have you got any tips? Yeah. Tap your foot. And I'm not being funny either. Mark King advocates tapping your foot no matter what musical situation you're in. A, it develops your sense of time, and B, as you develop that, you can rely on it. And if you're playing bass, which I assume you are, you kind of need to drive that tempo along. The other instruments will be relying on you to sort of reinforce that sense of rhythm, tempo. Take control of it, I would say. Not in a bossy or domineering way, but being in the bass chair, a chord isn't a specific chord unless you play the note that corresponds to that chord. So, yeah, I mean, if any of those tunes, if you start the tune and you're laying down what the bass line is before they come in, well, you're setting the tone, you're setting the tempo, you know. And doing acoustic stuff is quite different to playing in like a regular band, an electric band. And I know when I did a load of stuff with an original artist around about 2000, 2001, I remember the MD, who was the guitarist, Paul, you're in Texas. It's Mr. Paul Guerin, plays with the Choir Boys, played with million bands, works with Joe Elliott in the Down and Outs. Paul and I used to be in a glam rock tribute band in the mid-90s. Anyway, he pulled me in onto that project with a signed singer, and we were doing a load of acoustic shows. And I remember him saying to me very early on, you got to approach the bass playing on an acoustic bass. I had a semi-acoustic Washburn. He said, you got to let the songs breathe. And in that band, we had quite a big band. So we had keys. That was the only kind of electric instrument. We had fiddle, acoustic guitar, acoustic bass. I think there may have been percussion. And we had drummer, of course. But sometimes we would strip it right back. And actually the lines, because we were promoting the artist's album, we kind of had to redevelop some of the parts. So you would try and be as close to the original. You'd be sort of fairly faithful to the original arrangements and orchestration. But when you start doing acoustic bass parts, you can't by the sheer nature of the instrument, the size of it, the frequencies, and also the fact, I think I started using phosphor bronze strings at the start of that project, and by the end I was onto half wounds. Just kind of changed the twanginess that was going on. That Washburn could be quite bright, and it had a preamp in it, so you'd wind sort of pretty much most of the treble off, boost the bass as far as you could without it feeding back. And actually that bass was really good for that, and it wasn't prone to howling and feedback issues. And but what I found was we'd done a couple of gigs as the electric band, and then when it came to doing the acoustic shows, which kind of took over, actually, we didn't do too many electric shows after that. The acoustic side, it kind of gave me a bit of a free rein to put my own stamp on the bass lines. So it wasn't that I stripped them back. It was more just simplifying the line. And I found the tracks breathed more. So when you've got like piano on a keyboard, fiddle, acoustic guitar, acoustic bass, percussion, it was I didn't want to oversimplify what was on the records. And actually, Chris Charles was the bass player on the album, which I had to remind him about when I interviewed him in 2016. I said, I did those shows. You did the album and I did the shows. It wasn't that the parts were so simplified they were boring. They weren't. But you just had to kind of use your brain a bit, see where the holes were, see what the dynamics of each track were, because some of them were quite ballady, some of them were quite forceful. And if you heard the original versions on the album, you'd think, how would that become an acoustic song? Well, that's it. When you strip it down to pianos playing the main melody, guitar is kind of more rhythm than what I was doing, which then allowed me the opportunity to sort of be a bit more expressive. Fretless wouldn't have worked. That would have just been too much of a voice clash with the other instruments. But on that bass, it was it just worked really great, and I got some great recordings from that. But all I can say really is if you're gonna be in an acoustic trio with no percussion, then you're in charge of the rhythm, my friend. If that means you got to do a bit more sort of metronome practice at home, go for it. Do it. You know, it will always benefit you. Metronome practice time is well spent, really. It just builds your sense of time and rhythm. And like I say, the foot tapping thing, if you're playing in a venue where the other band members can hear you tapping your foot, then you're the drummer as well. Maybe you should charge them a bit extra. Hey, doing two jobs for one fee. George Iliadis, good to see you. Greetings from Broad Beach. Hope you're well, George. Hope everything's good. John Cooper, sorry, Brooksy, gotta go, but I shall return. No problem. We'll be here for a couple of hours. Thanks again. Hopefully see you and Uncle Funk in Hartford this Friday. John, if you're coming, let me know. I'll put you on the guest list. You don't need to buy a ticket. I can sort that. You can email me, Brooksy's Bass Corner at gmail.com, or you can get me on the socials, but let me know probably by Friday, because I'll need to submit a guest list. But let me know. If you don't contact me for a guest list place, I'll assume you're buying a ticket and I'll buy you a pint at the bar. How about that? Patrick Sweeney, I was giving bass lessons last week, and it's surprising how many people don't tap their foot. I know, it's become a thing. I was explaining how you need to be able to provide your own metronome and click. Absolutely. And over time, you develop your sense of time. So many younger players think they just, I do a bit of practice and that's all I need to do. You are the bass player. You've got to get that sense of rhythm in your head. I often find I do so many gigs now with different drummers and what have you, and all of them have different ways of playing. And I've noticed one or two, and I'm not going to mention any names, have started to lose timing. And I start to then doubt myself. Is it me? Have I counted that wrong? I haven't counted it wrong. And if there's been a recording of it, I've listened back and gone, no, it's not me, is it? They dropped time. They dropped time. They either went too fast or too slow. So yeah, we need to educate the next generation coming up, and get your sense of time right. As a bass player, it's a prerequisite. People expect it. It's not an added bonus. You should that should be in place. Stacey saying hello to George. John Cooper, what a gent. Well, I'll try, has been said before. Great. I'll see you there on Friday. Saturday, sorry. Saturday, we're in Hartford. Saturday, not Friday. Definitely Saturday. Sunday's Basingstoke. Hartford is this week. Actually, I can send you a Facebook link if people want it. Can I grab that? Is that a share? Share to fit. Just how about send me the link? Share this link. Good. Here we go. I can give you a Facebook link, guys, for those who want to attend. So that's Uncle Funk at Beam in Hartford on Saturday. It's Saturday. Don't go there on Friday, John. I won't be there. It's Saturday. Okay. George Iliad is saying hello to Stacey. There we go. There we go. So let's see if anyone wants to come in on the video chat. Oh, here we go. Dawson's here. Dawson's here. Excellent. I will get you a link, sir. Dawson from Canada. Let's get you an invite link, my man. Do. Here we go, Dawson. I'll see you when you pop up on the screen. It is 21 minutes past 9 here in London. Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 76. I don't know how we've managed 76 of these, but we have. Dawson says he needs a Brazilian bass lift. Excellent. You can tell me more in a minute. So if you're new to the live chats, this is the video window. If you're on the mobile app, the live chat window is directly underneath. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. You can see all the messages there, part of the chat tonight. Put your cursor or pointer in the text box at the bottom, type your message or comment, send it. It'll appear here in my feed. Next to the text box, you'll see the emoji icon. Please feel free to give that an absolute pummeling. The YouTube algorithm loves the emojis, so please feel free to give that an absolute hammering. But also, next to that, you'll see a rectangle with dollar symbol in. If you enjoy the videos, enjoy the chat, like what we do, that is called Super Chat. It allows you to make a financial donation contribution to the channel. You don't have to. The videos are free to watch, get involved with. But in order to keep the channel going, all the things that I have to pay out for to keep all this running, this highly polished live chat going, Super Chat payments are very much appreciated. All the videos have super thanks facilities. So again, if you're watching a video here on the channel and we're not in the middle of a live chat and you suddenly think, oh, I really found that useful, or he's just shown me exactly what I needed to do to my bass, you can hit the super thanks option, make a donation to the channel, keeps us up and running. On that note, let's add Dawson. Let's see if we can hear him this week. Let's see. Dawson,
Testing.
Talk to me.
Testing.
I can hear
1,
you.
2, 3.
Fabulous. See, the fixed line has made all the difference. Excellent. How are we, sir?
Great. Are you in the new studio today?
No, this is the same studio. Look behind me. It's all the same stuff. I'm just at my desk, and we're running on a fixed line instead of a Wi-Fi connection. So it's all good.
Fantastic.
Does that look and sound better to you?
Sounds good.
There you go. Happy days. What's your bass news, brother?
I guess my my bass news is okay. The one today is using distortion or effects. Now
Yeah.
I don't use any on my bass, not yet. I haven't experimented yet with that. Usually just with the amp settings, I just gradually turn it until I feel like I have a decent tone. I was able to find a decent tone. Yes, but I have not experimented too much with the effects.
Okay. Has it got effects built in?
No, because I would run the bass through to the just a very small bass amp, like
Okay.
regular one, and then there'd be some dials on there, but it's mostly like treble, middle, and
Okay.
bass.
Okay. So you're going to be going down the pedal route, I guess, when you want to start using effects.
I guess so. When I use my guitar, my philosophy was like is to gradually build out. So when I had my guitar, I would get I would just use the distortion on the amp, and then I
Okay.
would go to overdrive because it's more general, and
Hmm.
then from there I used a chorus pedal for
Yep.
the overall amplification, and then I used a phaser because I was able to get that whirly sound.
Hmm.
So the way
Okay.
I approach effects is step by step, and I try to get as natural as possible, and
Hmm.
then go to like a little bit more of the effect part.
Okay. So I would use generally I use phasers like I use bass fuzz. So it's not a pedal that I would have on all the time. I use them to accent like a fill or a particular part of a song. If so, for example, if I'm doing play that funky music, you've got the bit at the end of the chorus. Da, 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 da. That's where I use an accent. So for me, like I say, a fuzz fits that. An octave pedal would fit that. A phaser, probably not distortion because the guitar players, you're going to be encroaching on what they're doing. Uh, Chorus isn't going to make enough of an impact because chorus is like a swell and it will fatten up your bass tone.
Hmm.
So I generally I don't think of choruses as something that's going to sort of embellish a part. It's something that's going to fill out the general bass sound. So if I'm trying to make a statement with what I'm playing, that's when I'd use something like a phaser, maybe a flanger, maybe. And it's very easy to get flangers and phasers mixed up. But actually, if you've got two side by side, you'll hear the difference. So you will get kind of the swirliness is more akin to what you get on flangers, whereas a phaser can be it's almost like like a pinch filter.
Mm.
So if you're doing a slap line, the percussiveness sort of jumps out a bit more. And when you pluck a note, you'll hear that phaser sort of resonance on that note as well. But that's kind of my thing with those. But for distortion, see, I would use distortion if I'm playing in a rock band and I'm just trying to fatten the tone up or make it sound a little more grindy. For me to use distortion, I need to have like a specific requirement. In my head, it's like, what am I trying to sound like? Whereas with fuzz, it's like an impact statement. It's like bang, hear this. Listen to this bit of the line. Whereas distortion would be probably something I'd have on throughout that song. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Mm.
I can see Kevin Allen. I have to go now too. Catch you next week. Cheers, Kev. Take it easy. Good to see you. Gareth Harrison, if you have guitar effects, try using them through your bass. You might be surprised. Absolutely. Loads of the effects I have here are predominantly guitar effects, but they work on bass. The only times they can be a bit challenging is like with fuzzes, overdrives, some modulation effects will, if they're guitar based, they sap your bass signal, so you lose the bottom end, which is what you're there to provide. So generally bass specific pedals will keep that element there, as well as then offering an effect maybe on the higher frequencies but retaining the sort of integrity of your bass part. Us bass players couldn't believe it when they started bringing out bass specific versions of effect pedals. It was like, oh hallelujah, at last. And actually, nowadays, you get so many pedals where you have a wet and a dry sort of control, so you can attenuate that area. But also now you get ones that have low and high controls, so you
Mm.
can apply the effect to the high end or the low end or both. That's great. If only it had always been like that, it would have been a whole lot easier.
I know
Thank
what you
you,
mean
Gareth,
by
for
the
saying it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying thank you to Gareth for saying that. If you have
I know what you
guitar
mean by the
effects, try
fuzz.
using them.
Is when I seen Cool in the Gang, their bass player,
Mhm,
he had a couple different effects, but
exactly.
yes, he used usually for accents.
There we go. That's what I tend to do with effects in Uncle Funk. If I quickly rattle through in my brain, what do I use on songs? First couple of songs don't use too much. When we do the Earth, Wind and Fire, we do a 3-song medley. I tend to use some chorus on Let's Groove just to make it fatter. Don't use anything on Boogie Wonderland, and I don't really use anything on September. But then when we come out of that, we do a 2-song medley, which is Boogie Nights into Lost in Music. So in Boogie Nights, I use envelope filter to try and recreate that bass synth, the kind of keyboard bass that's on the record. When we go into Lost in Music, again, I'll use chorus just to fatten that bass signal up. Not a lot. You wouldn't probably notice it from the audience, but I can hear it when on my IEMs that I've kind of fattened up that bass tone. And that seems to work pretty good. Trying to think what else. Feel the Force. I use various bits and bobs on that. I think what else. Bee Gees tunes, they're just as they are. You don't have any effects on any of that. Chic in Le Freak, in the solo, the bass solo in the middle, I'll either chuck on a filter or a phaser or a flanger, maybe, just to give it a bit of definition. Otherwise, it's just the same sounding bass throughout the whole thing, and that is a bass solo, you know.
Yeah.
And then things like Planet Funky Music, I'll have something on those the ends of the choruses on the descending line. Car Wash, we start with a filter for the bass, down. That's a bit of filter on there, and a couple of other bits and bobs. But a lot of the time, the octave pedals are there for a little bit of reinforcement. Also, song endings. Like if we're doing a low D, I'm not using a 5-string on Uncle Funk, so I'll turn the octave pedal on and emphasize a low D. And there's actually, we do a medley that is Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang into Oops Upside Your Head into Good Times. There's a couple of points in the Oops Upside Your Head where we have like hanging D and E notes, and I'll reinforce them with an octaver as well. So it all gets used. I take that board and literally everything on it gets used. So yeah.
So in your songs, like, do you write at the part where you're going to use the effect, or is it more intuitive where you're like, okay, this is the part where?
Yeah, when we were doing the Uncle Funk rehearsals, I brought, like, every rehearsal I'd bring different effects. And the first gig we did, I had my pedal train, I think it's a Classic 2, and basically the whole board was full with what I thought I needed. And as time went by, I created a smaller board, which is the one I take out with me most of the time at the moment down there. And that's got one, aside from the tuner, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pedals on it and a tuner. So I've sort of ramped it right down. I can get away with that. But when we're doing the new theatre show in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to need, that board is going to be at breaking point because there's going to be so many sounds I've got to call on to cover 4.5 decades of different bass sounds. So, like I say, when we went out on the first Uncle Funk show, I had all that stuff, and I realized very quickly I didn't need the phaser on it. The envelope filter could cover that. I got rid of the EBS uni chorus that I had, and for a while didn't have any chorus pedal on there. Now I've kind of brought, I bought an MXR bass chorus deluxe, which got flanger and chorus in the same pedal, so that's on there now. And I didn't need, I think what else I took off there. I took off the Electro Harmonics knockout. I just found I was using it when I was calling it in. It was starting to make the bass signal distort through the preamp pedal, and I didn't want it distorting. So it was like, well, I could do away with that. And then, like I say, it just got slimmed down to 4 pedals and a tuner, so that's fine. But it will be going back up to the full pedal train onslaught when we start doing this theatre show. I can see Patrick Sweeney on songs like Ain't Nobody. I use an envelope filter with a touch of octave, exactly, to try and replicate that synth bass. That's what I'm doing with Boogie Nights, Patrick. I use the Aguilar filter twin there for my filter. And again, yeah, I might chuck in a bit of octave there. Sometimes do that on I'm Every Woman for the start, trying to cop a bit of Anthony Jackson there, just to fatten that up. But yeah, no, I hear you. Gareth Harrison, what do you think of the Hipshot drop tuner? Fabulous. Love them. Although I love the Digitech drop. I use that a lot. I use that more than I use a Hipshot. I've actually only got 2 basses here with Hipshots on, neither of which were put on at my discretion. So I've got the Billy Sheehan Attitude up there, which comes with a Scott. Good to see you. Got to run. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming along. So the Billy Sheehan Yamaha Attitude has a Hipshot on it, and my GB 50th birthday bass, the White Rumor. Don't bash the guitar, you twit. So that's got one on the back here, and I've started making quite a bit of use of that. I like it. Handy when I've got things going on with the pedals and I don't want to kick in the drop pedal because I'm using it for an octave, but I need to use that drop to get me down to the low D. So it's all good. So Gareth, what do you think of the Hipshot drop tuner as I fit them to my P and J basses rather than go down the 5-string route? Perfectly acceptable, my friend. If that works for you, go for it. You can do that, or you can have a Digitech drop, or you can have Electro Harmonics pitchfork, or you can have one of the Digitech whammy pedals. And in fact, most multi-effects units now have some facility for drop tuning. So yeah, you use what works for you, my friend. That's my advice. For years, I played in a covers band where we were permanently semi-toned down tuned. So my basses were tuned that way. But it did mean, as I said a couple of weeks ago, and as I say on the Digitech drop video that's here on the channel, I'd rather use that than have to keep tuning up and down and up and down and adjusting truss rods and changing string height. And basses just don't like it, especially wooden neck basses. Some of them just want to be set at concert and left. But if you're going to be busy dep or playing with lots of bands, and you're in bands that play in concert, semi-toned down, a whole tone down, you could end up doing a few gigs in a week and running through all 3 permutations. Your neck, unless it's a graphite neck, isn't going to be that happy. Patrick Sweeney, oh yes, love the Hipshot range of extenders. Got them on a few basses. They are popular. They've been popular for about 36 years, I think. And Billy Sheehan started using them in the mid to late 80s. So, you know, he was one of the first sort of big exponents of those. So, yeah, all good. All good. Yeah. Any further questions, Dawson?
When you use an octave pedal for the bass, can you go an octave higher, or is it just meant for an octave lower?
So, well, there are pedals that will do it. The Digitech whammy will allow you to do it. So there is a Digitech whammy for guitar players, and there's a separate one for bass players. So it can be done, and there is stuff out there to do it. But again, it all comes down to tracking. So in theory, you'd think, oh, it would be great. And then, like with octave pedals, you know, if the tracking isn't that great, it can sound horrible. So definitely worth auditioning before you put your cash down on one. I've never done it, never really kind of needed to do it. Although he says there probably are a few occasions in the past 3 or 4 years where I've thought, I need to go up, not down. And obviously the Digitech drop doesn't do that up. But it is what it is.
Because theoretically, if you go up an octave, then that would technically be like a guitar. So it would be like a guitar.
Can be.
Notes.
It can be. But then again, you see, if you had a 5-string, yeah. You see, what happens is, and this is when I suddenly realized, oh, if only I had a pedal that would go up, is when you're on a gig and you're used to playing it in a position and that person wants to go. So say a song is written in, say it's written in B flat. Yeah. And they want to sing it in C sharp. So you've got a 3-note movement. Well, the songs in B flat, you're going to have patterns that you're going to play and you're going to get them in your head. If you've then got to move that to C sharp, a lot of those patterns are suddenly going to go out the window. And that is where having a pedal that would go up becomes useful, because you can stay in your position and nothing would seem out of place for you, like muscle memory wise, but you'll be playing it in the right key. That's where going up makes a big difference.
Okay.
or it's like say a song's in F sharp and someone wants to do it in G sharp. It's like if your note choices rely on certain things, it's like when someone wants to drop a song and you might play it in G but they want to sing it in E. Suddenly it's like, well, do I want to, you know, transcribe that on the fly, transpose it on the fly, sorry. So there are ways and means. I mean, before all these gadgets came out, it was a case you turn up to a gig and you've learned it in a key and someone goes, oh no, we're going to do it in this. And it's like, could have told us in advance, could have told us, you know, and you've then either got to transpose it on the fly and there's no time, or if they've told you in sound check, you're going to squirrel yourself away in a corner for 10 minutes and you're going to go and work it out. Or the other thing is to tune your bass right down, and then you've got strings that are like knicker elastic. You know, it's not great, not the ideal. Gareth Harrison, I think Lee Sklar is the first prototype Hipshot on his Frankenstein bass. That sounds highly likely. Evening, Mr. Sklar. Again, he doesn't tune in. Although I say that, he did come on the live chat last year, popped in while he was in a recording session, said, hello, folks, I'm on a recording session. Least he, you know, gave us his presence. Yeah, that's highly likely because he was doing so much work back in the mid to late 80s that he would have been one of those people that, you know, Hipshot would have gone straight to and said, try this, tell us what you think, road test it for us. So well spotted, sir. Well spotted. So,
My
yeah.
other, my main bass is a Squire bass.
Okay.
But it's like the lower model. It has a shortened neck.
Okay.
The shape is kind of like a Thunderbird, but it's not.
Right.
It's like in between a Squire and a Thunderbird, and yeah, that was my friend Devin gave me. I traded him a bike for a bass because he had an extra bass and I had a
I
bike.
think you
And he
did
said,
well out of the deal.
"You want to trade?" Okay. And so yeah, so now I have two basses.
Cool. Well, there you go. When you start gigging, if you snap a string, you've got an instant bass to go to.
And the strings were kind of old on there. I think there might have been one good one, but so it was scary the first time changing them because of the tension. There's really high tension on the bass strings compared to
Yeah.
the regular guitar strings. So one almost like snapped back and like, whoa, okay. And then I
Okay.
eventually watched a tutorial, took half hour, got everything all strung up, and I was ready to go.
Okay. When you put new strings on, did you need to adjust the truss rod?
I think I
Because
slightly adjusted it.
if it had been if the tension had been really tight, really like heavy going, you probably would have needed to just loosen off the truss rod a little just to compensate. You'll know once you start playing the bass. When did you do this?
This was 4 years ago.
Oh crap. Okay. Okay. Forget what I say. As long as it's all right, don't worry about it. But you know, when you come to gig, if you're going to do a setup, I mean, have a look at any of my workshop videos here on the channel. I'll explain to you how to do truss rods. So before you make any adjustments, okay, put your truss rod tool in. General principle on basses is if you turn it, so if the adjusting nut is at the headstock and you're looking down the neck, or if it's at the bottom of the neck and you're looking up towards the headstock, if you turn it left, it'll loosen it. If you turn it right, it will tighten it. Some manufacturers aren't the same, but that's the general rule of thumb. Left to loosen, right to tighten. Okay. So before you make any adjustments, tightening up, loosen it off a quarter of a turn just to make sure there's some give. Because if there's no give, there's no point trying to tighten it. You're just going to break the truss rod. So you've got to slacken it off just enough, just like quarter of a turn. And it should go relatively easy. From there, you can then make any tightening adjustments, but never tighten first. Take a bit of slack off, then you can go.
Yeah, because
Believe me,
the
learn
difference
from
in
experience. That was.
the difference in thickness between the guitar strings and the bass strings was a small adjusting period. And I think
Yeah,
I
just
used
a bit.
the Ernie Ball strings,
Only ball
and
sack.
then it sounded good.
Good. Excellent. What gauge did you go for?
Oh, it must have been like just a standard regular. I
4000
probably
or
have my package at home.
4505 would probably be standard.
Yeah, I went to the guitar store and I said, "Can I have the standard?" And then I
That's what
strung it up.
that's what it'll be. Cool. Cool. Let's just see. There's a comment in there. Let's have a look. Jake Calburn. Good morning, everyone from Australia. Welcome, Jake. You're new to the channel. I don't think I've seen you here before. Puck27. Good evening. They're all flying in here. Good to see you. Welcome, Brooksy's Bass Corner, live chat 76, all the way from London. Hope you're well, gents. Feel free to get involved in the conversation. So, as you can see at the moment, I've got Dawson from Canada here. We're talking basses. So, any questions, put them in the text window and fire them up. If you want to get involved on the video chat, you can. Email me, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and then you can come live on screen. Scott M, YouTube invite. Scott, you disappeared. Oh, missed you. Sorry, Scott. I missed that invite. I'm sorry. Next time. Next time. So, yeah, very good. Very good. So, what's next on your shopping list, bass-wise, Dawson?
What's next on my shopping list?
What are
I
you
really
after?
don't have anything on the radar right now. I'm just what I like to do is practice till I get to a certain level and
Mhm.
then expand. So once I probably reach a what do you call it, like a writer's block or something,
Plateau.
then I'll try to work through it and then get through it. But
Cool.
I've been pretty lucky that I've been able to just kind of expand the range of what I already have and then move and then like kind of go on to the next um thing. So I'm still exploring. I don't know. It would probably be that that bass we were talking about last week.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just a matter of playing. I'm like, okay, maybe this needs a little more distortion. So it all happens with the style and based off of what I think can fit with my style the best.
Cool. So, are you in a band at the moment, or are you looking to join one?
I'm not in one at the moment. I'm just doing some songwriting and writing riffs, and I'm looking to uh, kind of sell my songwriting and sell my riffs and kind of let someone else do it.
Okay.
I'll
Oh,
send
well.
you one of my riffs. It's really cool.
Please do. Well, I tell you what, one week, if you're at home with your bass, you can come on live here and you can play it.
Okay.
There you go. Let the world hear it. Bill Clements on bass. Welcome, Bill. You were here a couple of weeks ago. Good to see you. Gareth Harrison just put some flats on my Gretsch short scale bass. Loving it. Not really used flats before. Flats have a place. For years, a lot of players would not go near flats. They've become, I wouldn't say trendy, but they've sort of grown in popularity since about late 2000s. I think they really became seriously prominent. I remember having a chat with Jason Howe at Rotor Sound probably around 2013, and he said the demand for flats had just blown the roof off the place. He said they were now making more flats than they had ever done in his lifetime. So now they're everywhere. Loads of people using flats on certain bases. I mean, I use them on a couple, but they're not my go-to string. It's for me, flats you have a function. They're not something I'd put on all my basses, and that would be my my signature sound. But they certainly have a place. Excellent. Is that a Gretsch Jet? I think it's is it called a Jet? I did a review of one 2017, 2018, I think. I just realized I found the rest of those Larry Graham pictures of his pedal board. There's a picture of the Mootron. Sorry, for those who don't know what we're talking about, I was talking about Larry Graham's pedal board earlier. Right, let's find that magazine review. Gretsch. Bass reviews. Here we go. I did a review of a Gretsch Junior Jet Bass 2 in April 2017. I can't remember what I said about it. Let's have a look.
I have to get going soon.
No problem, sir. Okay.
Thank you for having me on the show today.
Pleasure, Dawson. You take care. Have a good week. We'll catch you next week.
Yes, I'm glad everyone got to hear my my string story, my string theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
well, that's it. Next, when you're at home, some point you can play that bass on screen.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Cheers, man. Take care.
Cheers.
Have a good week. See you soon. Bye-bye. And that was Dawson. Gareth. Yes, the Duo Jet. There we go. There we go. Same bass. So it's the Gretsch G2220 Junior Jet Bass 2. Cost £312. What did I say? I can't remember. I'll read out my conclusion to you. At £312, this is a joy to play. And although a Gretsch bass may not be top of your bass shopping list, there's much to appreciate about it. For those who like a simple bass without all the bells and whistles and are looking for an equally simple tone without too much fuss, the Junior Jet is certainly worthy of your consideration. Its simplicity is such a plus point, but if you don't like the black and chrome styling, a tobacco sunburst option is also available. Solidly built, solid tone, comfort, playability, what's not to like? Check one out. You may be suitably surprised. There we go. Jerry Blair, good to see you. Welcome. Live chat 76. How's it going? Let's see what nuggets of advice I can give you this week. Jerry's one of my disciples. He gives me problems and I try and solve them for him. What's happening, Jerry? If anyone wants to come onto the live chat by video, email me, brooksy'sbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and I can pull you up onto screen here. It is coming up to 5 to 10 here in London town. Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 76. We're talking bass. If you've got any questions about basses, amps, pedals, accessories, gig bags, strings, cleaning materials, maintenance of your bass, we're talking fuzz, distortion, and overdrive pedals and effects. Let me know if you've got some. Maybe you use some. What made you use them? What songs in your set do you use them on? Do you combine them with other effects? Maybe. Let us know. Let me know what's happening. Cheers, Dawson. Take it easy, my man. Pedal safe. 9-mile bike ride. Well done. Yeah. So I realized I can share my screen with you fine people. Let's see if I can throw up something else for a topic of discussion, shall we? I don't mean throw up as in boop. I mean, now we can do now. The first week that we were using StreamYard, I was trying to share pictures of my bass collection with you, and we found that you can't really share pictures. You can share, but you have to use Google Slides. But what I can do is share my screen. So I do get people occasionally asking, and it's not in there, is it, Mike? Oh, that's good. I've got the wrong drive attached. Someone was asking about Mark King's old StingRay that I used to own. And I don't have the right drive attached. Right, let me just attach a certain drive. Okay, hold on. There it is. Good start. Right. Let's get that in there. Now the fun begins. So this will get the conversation flying. Gareth Harrison, Peter Hook got me into effects trying to recreate Love Will Tear Us Apart. Excellent. Good choice. Good old Hookie. Last spoke to him a couple of years ago during lockdown when we were doing a feature on Yamaha. George Gandara, also use Ernie Ball Cobalt Flat. I put my teeth in, Michael. I also use Ernie Ball Cobalt flats on my short scale basses. Good. And how do you find them, George? How do they work out for you? So let's see if I can call up my bass collection now, shall we? So like I say, I get people asking about the Mark King StingRay. So I used to own it. So here we go. I think it's a good start, Mike. Good. Now I've just got to find the here we are. Okie dokes. Music Man StingRay. So here, let me see if I go back into there. Right, share my screen. See if this works. This is my letter of authentication. So yeah, from the original bass center in Wapping, I bought it in July of I think it was the 12th of July, 1997. And then I got a letter of authentication about 6 months later. So yeah, so I owned that. Yes, I did. And let me see if I can go to the next page. Here we go. Not the greatest picture. I'll get a better one. That's not much better either. That's better. Let's see if we can rotate that a bit, shall we? Much better. Can I crop it? Or zoom in even? That might be better. Here we are. Now we're talking, aren't we? So, no, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to make this a visual experience for you fine people. Here we are. So, Mark King's old 4-string StingRay from 1989 or 90. When I checked out the serial number back in the old days, Music Man could only say it was either an 89 or a 90. So it's actually translucent red, but you can't really see it in that picture. There'll be another picture in a minute, which you'll see the grain. Mark, in usual Mark style, ripped off the foam mutes, bless him. And when I got the bass, it had a set of his Trace Elliott 3090 strings on it. Other than that, there was nothing different about it. It was completely stock. 3-band EQ, volume, the pickup, of course. Now here, where my now I don't know which you're seeing here, so just bear with me a moment. I'm just going to switch over into the okay, that's not showing me either. Right, there's a pointer on the screen, and in fact there's two. Right, so where that white pointer is, just above the edge of the neck on the body, there were a load of dents. So basically he kept propping the bass up against the rack, and he had all these load of dents all there. And other than that, it was pretty good nick. The other basses that were there when he was selling a load of gear all had sort of significant sort of use damage. But this one was fairly clean because he only really used it in the studio. I think he used that bass on one thing on an Irish TV show. I think when Guaranteed came out, or when Forever Now came out, I think it was Guaranteed. Rob Steen, Evening Rob, if he's out there, would know. He has a copy of it on video, which I've never seen it on YouTube either. But that was the bass that did pretty much most of the work on Guaranteed album, Forever Now album, and Trash. It was that very bass. I've got a Trash CD here signed by Mark saying that was my bass. It was. You sold it. So yeah, let me see if I can find a better picture. It was a lovely bird's eye maple neck. I used it pretty much almost for every gig between July 97 and probably about May 2002. So it did 5 years, and then I sold it. So here you can see the translucent grain a bit better. It was actually more a kind of wine red than a bright red, but it played great. It was great. Loved it. I put the gaffer tape on because it got a couple of, not bangs, but more of this sort of propping up damage. And I just didn't want my belt buckles on my jeans sort of causing it any more damage. And obviously someone bought it and they didn't want it. You could apply some sticky stuff solution to it and it'll take the tape adhesive off. As you can see, metal battery plate cover, 4-bolt neck. There you can see all the figuring in the neck. It's a close-up of the back. She was a cracker. There we go. Played great. Played really great. I can take you through a journey of my bass collection. Yeah. That'll get the old comments firing up, I'm sure. Actually, let me just do that. That's good. Yeah, you're still seeing. That's fine. Let me just pull that across here. You can see things a bit better. Yeah, so that's that. That's the Mark King bass. So where do you want to go with this, people? I can show you any bass you like. If you want to see things I've owned that have moved on, that didn't last, the Brooksy course. So this is a Trace Elliott Status T bass. This is a 1996 model, Seafoam Green. The precursor, obviously, to the Ashdown Lodestone basses, and they came before the current Ashdown basses. I see some messages here. Jerry Blair, I am one of your disciples. All I've got to do now is betray you, then we've got the full set. Excellent. Bill Clements, great shade of red. Yeah, it was that was a prominent color for Music Man through the late 80s through the early 90s. Gareth Harrison, it's called Playware. I'm well aware of. See some of my instruments. People pay a fortune to recreate relic basses. Yeah, they do. Idiots. You want it looking nice. Show us your Alembics happily. Photos. Well, you can see one on the wall behind me. I've actually got 3 now. So I'll show you the pictures. We'll come out of there. So this is the first Alembic I bought in, oh God, I think it was the 1st of February, 2014. So it's the 20th anniversary from 89, I think number 162. Walnut facings, maple and purple heart stringers through neck. It's got the Omega there, of course. A simplified control set, so not like a Series 1 and Series 2, although it is, but it isn't. So you can run it in mono or stereo, and pickup selector there. Then you've got a separate volume and low pass filter for each pickup. And then here you've got the Q switches. So unlike Series 1s and Series 2s, there aren't 3 settings on these switches. There's only 2. But yeah, you can switch it between mono and stereo mode. And it's great. Plays great. Sounds great. There's a video here on the channel. Let me just find that for you. I need a bit more room space here. Here we go. So I did a demo of this some time ago. And this is also the same line of bass that Jason Newsted just sold. If some of you are Metallica fans, you'll know he just sold a bunch of his basses. This was one that went for about $16,000. There was nothing unique about it. It was just another one in this series. They only made 200 with walnut, 200 with maple, and 100 with maple, 100 with walnut. And his bass, very similar to this, $16,000, if you please. I need to go back to StreamYard. Thank you very much. Here we go. So, I think you're still seeing the Mark King, are you? Can't see it. Right, hold on. Music Man's still up. Right, bear with me a moment. So this is the Alembic demo. Okay, so let's click for more layouts or manage them from settings. Very good. Okay, right, let's go back to that. So if I go to that, right, bear with me a minute. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. There we are. So this is the 20th anniversary Alembic. As I said, walnut front, maple and purple heart through neck laminates, Omega there, control set, pickup selector, mono and stereo selector. Then you've got volume and low pass filter for each pickup. And then you've got Q switches, which only have 2 settings, not the 3 that you would have on a Series 1 and 2. If you turn the bass over, I can get to that part of it. There we are. So that's it from another angle. You turn it. That was after I cleaned it all with some Never Dull, funnily enough. Nice sparkling bridge. There is one of it turned around the other way. All of this cleans up with Never Dull as well. Yeah, there's good. Yeah, there we go. See there, you can see the 3 neck. So it doesn't have the sort of customizable switches that you have on the back of a Series 1 or a Series 2, but there are what's the word I'm looking for? Volume. What's the word I'm looking for? Someone help me here. We have the volume trim pot. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for. The trim pots are in there for each pickup, so you can make it louder if you want. Matching facing on the back of the headstock as well. It's cracking bass. What can I say? It's the headstock. She's a beaut. Gareth, did you see the 8-string Alembic Jason Newsted had for sale? Yes, I did. 28 grand, 28,000, 26,000. One or the other. He did rather well out of that. But that's what comes with being famous, you know. You get given those things. Although I think he bought, you know, the Alembics he bought. I don't think Alembic don't give basses away for free unless you're probably Stanley Clark. You pay for them. So he made his money back, I would say. Joe Goose bass. Evening, Mike. Did Mark King pay for that StingRay or did he get it for free? I don't know, actually. Never asked him that. I know he ordered the 4 and the 5 at the same time. I don't know. But let's be fair. To buy StingRays in the late 80s, early 90s, they wouldn't have been very much, would they? 1,200, 1,300 quid, maybe. It's pittance to him at the time. So I don't know, actually. I never asked him that question. I will try and remember next time I see him, if he'll tell me. Probably he's forgotten himself. He was going through basses back then like nobody's business. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, it did come up. Needs a bit more work. We'll be getting that back on the workbench soon. That did get a clean up actually during lockdown, so I I got in there with a toothbrush and some of the Flitz brass polish that Alembic recommend. So that looks a whole lot better now than it did. And I'm looking at it. Yeah, it does. But it's still, you know, it's got another 4 years of tarnish on it now. Puck 27, you've got a 20th anniversary as well. Excellent. Let's see. Is it a walnut one? Is it a maple one? Joe Goose, would you buy another Fender Mark King signature if one came up for sale? I never owned a Fender Mark King signature. Do you mean the jazz bass, Joe? I've never owned one of those. Didn't rate them. Didn't rate them. They had too many issues as well. I know they do come up and they go for reasonable money, but they weren't great basses, to be honest. You're meaning the Fender signature jazz, don't you? Yeah, the blue jazz bass. Nope, never owned one. Not really interested, to be honest. I think you said it smelled bad. Yes. Well, that's what everyone that's owned one has said to me. They smell like Play-Doh. Something to do with the paint, I think. The paint that was used. There were quite a few issues with those. If someone's got a good one, then very good. But I got enough basses with LEDs in. Better than a jazz bass. They're investment things now, aren't they? You know. But then, kind of when they came out in 98, 99, Mark was on a bit of a downward trend in terms of popularity. You know, the whole bass exotica thing had kind of died out a bit. Britpop had happened. Everyone wanted vintage Fenders, really. Puck 27, how do you share a pic? You can't. Unfortunately, there's no way. You can send a link. Oh, no, you can't do that either. You would need to come on the video chat. You can do that. Send me an email. brooksy'sbasscorner@gmail.com, and I can bring you up live here on the live chat. Unfortunately, YouTube live chats, you can't share links or pictures. I can share these with you because I'm on StreamYard. So yeah, so that's that. That's that one. Let's see what pictures I've got of the other one. I don't think I've really done a proper photo session with this one. They're rare, odd pictures, so just bear with me a minute. Here we are. Right, where are we? Into there. No, that's not it. Present. There you go. So that's the Mark King Alembic. I'll zoom in a bit there for you. Not the greatest picture. I need to do a bit of a session actually with those, with that, and get some better pictures. But yeah, so this was bought secondhand. Oh, now that'd be January 2015. On the same day I first met Neil Fairclough of Queen and Adam Lambert's touring bassist. Actually, I've got to do a little announcement for Neil in a minute. And I'm just checking he hasn't messaged because he said he might pop in on the live chat tonight. No. I interviewed Neil for Bass Guitar Magazine en route to going to see Queen that night at the O2. And we talked for hours. We weren't only supposed to do 30 minutes, and we were still talking about 3.25 hours later. And so in the time between leaving his hotel and going to the O2, I decided to go bass shopping. Keith Doherty, good to see you. And not knowing this bass was at the gallery, I went in there, and my learned pal John, who works at the gallery, said, "Have you come to see the Alembic?" I was like, "You what?" And he knew I'd bought one the year before. I said, "What Alembic?" He said, "You know, the one that's on the website." I said, "I haven't seen the website. What are you talking about?" He said, "A guy came in here and basically has cashed in about 8 basses, seriously good basses, put them up for sale." I was like, "Right." I said, "So what are you on about Alembic?" And he said, "Well, follow me to the back of the store." So this bass was there. and there were 2 GBs, a Status Series 2, 2 Sadowskis, just a couple of other bits and bobs. And he said, "Do you want to try it?" I said, "Well, cool, stupid question, really, isn't it?" So I sat down and started playing it, and it sounded nothing like my 20th anniversary bass. So after about 20 minutes, he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I'm going to buy it, aren't I?" And so we came to a deal with the seller, and that was that. And I picked it up about 2 months later because I was about to go away and do one of my regular trips to Israel in a lat, playing for a month. So I picked it up when I got back, and that was that. And that's how I came to own my my second Alembic. After not having one for years and wanting to get one, I then bought 2 in less than a calendar year. Bizarre. Gareth Harrison, what are your thoughts on the Sterling Pete Vents StingRay being passive? Well, Music Man have done passive basses before. They did the Caprice and the Cutlass. And no, I'm not talking about the Graphite neck StingRay that was called a Cutlass, but back in 2016, I think they launched 2 passive basses. So I think the Cutlass had this split coil, and the Caprice had a split coil and a single coil. So basically a PJ setup. So yeah, I hadn't seen the Pete Vents model. Let me have a little look. There'll probably be a market for that. Oh, I see. It's a cheaper one, right? Okay, so it's a Sterling, is it? Yeah, it is. Well, certainly be a market for it. And people have cried about having passive StingRays before in years gone by. And obviously you can buy a sub, but it's not probably finished as well as the Sterlings are. Yeah, there'll be a market for that. A passive humbucker, yeah. They'll fly off the shelves. Mark my words. Key Doherty, if they email a picture, can I share it? Yes. Or insert an image into a Google slide and share it with you. Yeah, just email me a picture. That's probably easier. Joe Goose just emailed you, Mike. Excellent. And George, love them cobalts. Excellent. Hold on, it's coming your way, mate. I need to get there, and I need an invite for the man. Right, stop sharing that. Right, invite. Copy. Here we go. It's coming your way, Joe. Here we are. So yes, Brooksy's Bass Corner, Live Chat 76, coming to you all the way from London town. It is coming up to 20 past 10 here, Tuesday evening. Welcome to Live Chat 76. If you want to join in, literally put your cursor insertion point in the text box at the bottom of the text window. Type your message or comment in, press send, it'll pop up here on my feed. Next to that, you see the emoji icon. Please feel free to give that an absolute pasting. And next to that, you'll see the super chat box. Allows you to make a financial donation to the channel. It's the rectangle with the dollar symbol in. You don't have to contribute, but it helps keep the channel going, helps to oil the wheels that keep this fine channel trundling along. There's Joe. Let's add Joe to the stage. Say hello, Joe. Contribute, but it helps keep the channel. I can hear myself talking. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, I just turned off YouTube.
Very good. You'll have me talking over the back of your video. There we go. Empathy Man. What did you think of Rob Steen's one? Very similar. Almost like they could have been out of the same bits of wood.
I didn't see that. Where was that?
Yes, you did. I sent it to you on Messenger.
I need to. I'll check that out.
Hold on. I will. Let me see if I know how I can do it. Hold the bus. That is. I know where I've saved that. That's in the video that's going to be coming up on Mark King's bass collection. Where is it? Oh, maybe I haven't saved it in there. Right, 2 seconds, gang. I have a very rare Mark King owned bass to show you.
Oh, you know what? I think I remember actually.
It looks very much like your.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, now you mentioned Mark. As soon as you mentioned Mark King, I thought, hang on a minute.
That's it. That gave it away. Let's save that.
Yeah, I mean it's very similar, and I'd love that bass.
Yeah, that's why that's why I wanted to buy it.
Oh, see, all right, you had the opportunity to buy that.
Well, no, I walked into the store and started playing it, thinking it was still available, and then Rob turned up and went, "My name's on that. That's mine." I was like, not to worry.
Hasn't that Rob guy sold most of his statuses though?
Not sure. I know he's still got that bass because I contacted him last year.
Okay.
And I said, "Have you got any pictures of that? Because I'm going to be doing this video." And he said, "Hang on, where's that bass gone?" And he said he still had it. So right, where?
Yeah.
There we go. Right. So if I click on that, right, I can share this. So we want to go there and we want to present that, and we're going to share that screen, and it's going to be that, isn't it? So for those people who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, this is one of Mark's old basses that was put up for sale when I bought the StingRay. Unfortunately, I didn't get in quick enough to buy this, but a very fortunate gentleman in Ireland did. So this is an empathy status headed, so it'll be an empathy matrix from about 1990, 91, very much like Joe Goose's bass here. Similar timber, control layout. It's the old style layout with stacked controls.
Yeah,
very nice, very fetching, lovely bit of wood.
It's a beautiful bass.
Yeah,
I'd love to have that one. I'd love to have that.
Yeah, me too. It did play great. It sounded completely different to the empathies I now have because it had the original circuit like yours has got, whereas my ones are more mid heavy.
Very twangy.
Yours is, yeah. Very
twangy, yeah. It's shockingly twangy. You can really only use it for a level 42 cover band.
Exactly. That's what it's designed for.
Yeah, you can't use it for any. You couldn't go and do like, I don't know, Guns N' Roses or
no. But that's the thing. If you had one of mine, you could. That's what they're designed for. Rock,
I think
more mids.
I think what happened actually, Mike, is in the 90s, like you were saying, it was so, the only music that was playing on the radio and the TV was indie music and hardcore dance music. So I think Rob probably thought, well, the market is like more bassy, just
it was Britpop that changed his mind. When I asked him about it, he said it was Britpop that changed it. He said because by the time 94, 95 had come around, level 42 had gone. Bass Exotica was seriously on the wane. Everyone wanted Fenders and Gibsons and Rickenbackers. And he had to address it because otherwise the company not necessarily was going to go down the pan, but sales were dropping off. No one wanted a graphite neck bass anymore.
He was doing those he was doing those wooden energy basses, wasn't he?
Yeah, all of that. And also the fact that people just didn't want the glitz and glamour of the way those basses had looked. And he said he had to address the tone thing. And obviously you had people like James Lomenzo was one of their endorsers. And so it was far more rock and less slap and tickle,
Who's James Lorenzo? Who does he play?
He's Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, 1,000,001 rock bands. Oh God, if I called him up, I'm trying to remember who he's playing with at the moment, but he's like Mr. Session Rock guy. He's the big Ashdown endorser.
Oh, okay, Ashdown. Okay, right, yeah.
Hang on, here we go. He was a member of White Lion. He's in Megadeth, Slash's Snake Pit. He played with David Lee Roth, John Fogerty. So he's one of those guys. He just done 1,000,001 bands.
Kind of LA.
Lynch Mob, Pride and Glory, Black Label Society, all of that. But I mean, the funny thing is, if you follow James Lomenzo, he has a different bass every month. It's a different endorsement and all of that. I don't think he was with Status that long, but clearly that's what Rob was reacting to.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why the Empathy preamp got tuned slightly differently. The controls are the same, but just the way the mid-range works is slightly different.
I had a Status 6-string, and it had that same EQ that's very kind of, it's kind of like it's great for rock. It's very heavy, big sound, you know, big sound.
That's it. Yeah.
But when I bought it, I wanted to sound like Patatusi, so I wanted that twangy bell sound. So I never got. No, you couldn't get that sound. You couldn't get that sound. So I sold it in the end, but I always regret it because it was. I love the neck size for a 6-string. It was a really nice neck, you know.
Yep.
But,
Stuart Clayton had a 6, and he sold that to fund. Oh God, I think that was to fund his GB Rumor, and he wanted LEDs. He wanted the sound to light system, and he needed to come up with the money. So he sold the 6-string Empathy. It was a 6-string Empathy he had, and he sold his Series 2000, which is what I've got in the rack.
you know what? The first time I ever went to Wapping, right? I went with my dad and my younger brother, and I was only, you know, I think I was 17 or 18, or 18, 17 or 18. And we did a trip to London. My dad was, I think my dad had to go to the embassy or something like that. And we on the way back we went to Wapping, and I got my dad to take us to Wapping, and you know, I saw I'd never heard of Alembic before, never heard of them, but I saw these Alembic basses, and I just thought, wow, they look like something out of Dungeons and Dragons. Just the look, you know, and the big plastic.
I see your message, Keith Doherty. I'll come to you in a minute. Yeah,
big plastic pickups, huge, and there was this one bass that had green pickups. It was really strange.
An Alembic,
green
pickups. Wow,
it just looked really weird. You know, I just thought it was like a wizard out of Dungeons, you know, like that.
That's it. I think of them as dragons because it's rare that you see them.
Yeah,
really rare. And they all sound different. They all sound different.
And I just thought they were like an odd bass, but I didn't realize they were probably quite reasonably priced back then, you know. But the bass that I wanted to try, though,
go on.
The bass that I wanted to try was the Series 2 all graphite headless Status. That was like my, as soon as I saw that bass, and they had these SWR redheads, and you know, because I love Marcus Miller, I love Mark King, I love Stanley Clark. I didn't know what an Alembic was. But I just picked the bass that I went to straight away was the graphite headless, you know,
Series 2000.
Yeah, and it just plays like butter, you know. I remember through that redhead sounded incredible, you know.
Yeah, one of those. That's what you.
Yeah, exactly one of these. And I've got to get one of these eventually. But oh wow, that's a really nice condition. That's in really nice, beautiful.
It's all right. It got a bit of refettling in about 2002 because it had quite a few knocks. It's still got a few knocks.
It's funny because this one had the one that I tried had a big knock, and it looked like you can see like looked like kind of glass shattered, you know. Like
that's it. That's exactly what happens. But no, it got a rebuffing and a sort of bit of touching up in 2002. I'm trying to think why. We were there. I needed a replacement pickup in the T bass, so I gave that an overhaul as well. And I said to Rob, because this had loads of like battering, I just said, "Oh, and it needed a new bridge cover. The old one was crap, and the jack socket had gone, which is why I've got the Neutrik in." Okay,
that's why it looks new, because you got that brand new bridge cover.
Yeah, well, but it's 22 years since it had that. The old one, when I bought it off Stuart, this was all gone. All the
really, you know what? I hate that look. I hate that look. I would have to replace it. You know.
Yeah, but it also, I think either Stuart or the previous owner before him had, you know, that the more recent sort of curly Status. From sort of mid-90s. That's what was on that plate, and I said, "That's not period specific." No, I said, "I want one of them."
Yeah,
so he said, "Yeah, we can sort that."
It's like the spaghetti logo.
That's it. Exactly that.
You know what? That typeface was like. Every time you went to a business park, you'd see companies with that same typeface.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a kind of standard typeface for random companies,
Yeah,
at that time, back in the
that's it.
80s. But no, I love that logo, that original logo.
It's
I don't know why
classic.
I don't know why.
Classic.
I mean, look at Fender. They never changed theirs.
No. I'm just going to answer this question. Keith Doherty, thing is starting to try and set up my own basses. Go for it. Basic setups. What do you think of some of the cheaper maintenance kits on Amazon? I went down this very same route, Keith, and I ended up having to replace most of it, if not all of it. It just wasn't. Some of those things just aren't the greatest. They'll get you started, but you'll end up having to replace things, especially like files. Measuring gauges are fine. So action gauges, feeler gauges are all good. That's all fine. But like when they're saying to you grinding stones for frets, they're crap. Don't even go down that route. Look at Music Nomad stuff. Look at Hosco stuff. Fret erasers are good. But if you want to start doing fret crowning, you're going to need proper crowning files. There's a company I used because I was after some Hoscos and they've been out of stock for months and months and months. I ended up using a company called, if I can find it, just bear me a moment. It'll be in there. There's a company here in the UK do their own things, and I bought some stuff. Just bear me a moment. I can tell you. It's just after Christmas, wasn't it? Where is it? Chris Allsop guitar. And I bought, I'll tell you what I bought. I bought a mini diamond fret leveling file with an oak handle. And I bought 3 diamond fret crowning files with beech handles. And they seem to be just as good as the Hosco stuff, but because that stuff's coming from Japan, there seems to be a delay on it. And I've waited like over a year. And I just got bored of waiting and I wanted to do some fret work on a couple of instruments. So check out Chris Allsop's stuff. I can also say, I know what I was going to do. I'll get back to Joe in a second. Neil Fairclough, bass player with touring bass player with Queen Adam Lambert, is now offering one-to-one bass lessons. You can check out the socials, check out the community tab. There's a link there. If you want lessons with Neil Fairclough, he is outstanding. If you don't like Queen, don't let that put you off. He's a serious technician, can play anything. He's outstanding. If you want lessons, I think, let me just find the address. Bear with me a second, guys and girls. If you're looking for lessons with Neil Fairclough, I posted up about it earlier. Let's just find this, shall we? It is. Here's the email address. info@themusicplace.co.uk. I'll repeat it and put it in the chat. info@themusicplace.co.uk. Here's a link. If you want bass lessons with Neil Fairclough, touring bassist with Queen Adam Lambert, Billy Joel Songbook, amongst other things, he is now offering one-to-one bass lessons. So if you want lessons with Neil, send an email to the Music Place and they will send you all the details. So yes, basic setups, Keith. Don't scrimp, but if you're sure you want to do all this, then buying the cheap stuff is fine. Just be aware you're going to have to replace it at some point. But if you want a hand with sourcing various items, let me know, because I went through this whole situation in 2018, 2019, 2020. So here we go, JD time, innit? I'll help you if you need any help there, Keith. And again, feel free to check out the workshop videos here on the channel. I set up affiliate links for a lot of the products. So if you want to help the channel, use the affiliate links. But also, those were probably the best items for doing the job at the time. So check out what I'm doing, how I do it. Hopefully you'll find that useful. Gareth Harrison, I own a Hohner Jack headless that's as close as I'm getting to the Alembic. Alembic had never done headless.
I know
That's
how you
something
feel.
they've not done. Yeah.
I won't-
Hohner Jack headlesses are great, though. They're great basses. The Hohner Jack headless was basically a status copy. That was the whole idea. And I actually think they predated Steinberger putting a body on the bass, because before that had been the cricket bat thing. The guy who designed the body to go on the Steinberger guitar, which then got translated into being the bass body, was Mike Rutherford of Genesis. He drew it out on cardboard, sent it to Steinberger, and they created that bass.
Never knew that.
There you go. I interviewed him, and he told me exactly that. He said he was the test bed. Genesis were the test bed for everything that came out of Steinberger from about 84 onwards. Because if you see their tour from 83, 84, they're playing statuses. And then Steinberger went, hold on a minute, we do graphite basses and guitars, and suddenly they moved over to that. Puck 27, can you recommend a guitar bass tech? I need the lacquer varnish removed. Well, you are probably looking at a spray firm, so you can probably, well, you could ask Martin Sims in Ashford in Kent. I don't know if they're doing any of that stuff anymore. I think he's just gone back to repairs and LEDs, but you could ask. You could go to Bow Finishing, which I think are down near the south coast, near Brighton. Bernie Goodfellow uses them, amongst other people that use Bow Finishing. There's also a guy called David Wilson up north. There are other people. You could probably try the Bass Gallery as well if you want something London-based. They may well be able to help with that. They used to use Martin Sims to do a lot of their spray work. I think they may have moved over to Bow Finishing now. But go and have a word with Martin and John. They'll give you the advice you need, or give them a call. Yes, mate.
Can I recommend a finisher?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So I'm a bit biased.
JD, of course.
So the guy that
Although, Toby, of course. Yes. The only problem with that is they're so overwhelmed with work. Would depend how quickly you need it done. Puck 27.
Toby's gone back to working. He's restarted up his own company again.
His T-Dog thing. Yeah.
T-Dog, yeah. He's because he closed it down, didn't he? Because he had to pick up a lot of the JD work.
I think.
I think they replaced him in JD, haven't they?
I think when John started to fall ill, they needed all family hands on deck probably to get the work through. So that's probably what happened there. Patrick Sweeney, I sold my Green Status Series 2003 years ago. Patrick, come on. Then they went up in value. They'd kind of held their value for quite a while, but yeah, they have now shot up, as with anything when a manufacturer decides to sort of wind things down. Gareth Harrison, Crimson guitar stuff is good quality. Yes, Crimson are great. I was trying to buy some of the Hosco stuff through Crimson and Northwest Guitars, and just couldn't get hold of it. Crimson's own stuff is fabulous, by the way. But again, all the items I wanted were out of stock, and it was like, I can't get these crowning files for love nor money. But they are on the pricey side. Yes, they are. Keith Doherty, great, thanks. Yes. Sono Jono, Ned, welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before, but very welcome. Ned Steinberger is a great and humble dude. Certainly is. Fabulous. Legendary as well. Let me just check the email side of things. Anyone wanting to come in on video, join me and Joe, email me, Mike Brooksy. Mike Brooksy, that's my personal email, you cretin. Brooksy's Bass Corner at gmail.com. You can come on screen with me and Joe, talk bass. So what's up with you? What have you been doing? I haven't seen you for a few weeks.
No. So can I, Mike? Can I just say that
Yes,
question about someone's mentioning about their Westone. Is it a Westone copy of an Alembic or something?
No, he was meaning the Hohner Jack headless. I think what he meant was as close as he's getting to the statuses.
Okay. You know what? There's one bass that I had my eye on, and that's I can't pronounce it properly. It's Kawai.
Kawai. Yeah.
Kawai. And they do like a copy of a Stanley Clark Alembic.
Yes, they did. They existed in the 80s.
Yeah.
They sound quite different. Nick Smith people will know. Hello, Nick, if you're watching. Probably not, but I'll say hello anyway. Dr. Bass to a lot of people, very active on the socials and the forums. I think he owns one. I think he's got one in that extensive bass collection, or if he hasn't got it now, he did have one. They don't sound like Alembics. You want an Alembic, you've got to buy an Alembic, but the build quality
with Alembic, can you does it have the same shape pickups as Alembics, or would you have to reroute?
I think so. The only thing with Alembic is I know you can buy circuits, but I don't think it'll be the same circuit as a specific model. Like you can't buy the 20th anniversary circuit.
Right.
You can have a circuit made. If you want a Series 1 circuit, it's got to go into a Series 1 bass. But they do circuits.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends what you want in it. But I mean, the other option would be to buy an Alembic, gut it, put something else in it, sell it back on, and then use those guts in the Kawai. But why would you? Just keep the Alembic.
You know what? I have seen a JD that somebody gutted.
Well, the one I had would have been like that.
Yeah,
the guy ripped the guts out.
That's right. Yeah,
it was your guts out, and the guy built a little preamp on a little circuit board, stuck it in. I didn't know any different. I walked out of there assuming it had JD guts in. I remember thinking, doesn't sound that great, but maybe it's the battery or the strings or what. And then when I got home and took the back off, and it was like, what the hell is this? That's not a JD circuit. Not even close. It was literally just a printed circuit board with a couple of cables coming out of it. Yeah. And so I went to the bass center and said to Chris, have you got a JD circuit? He said, I have, but it's covered in dust. It's dirty. He said, I can't guarantee it's going to work. He said, your best bet is to go to JD. Well, back then, I didn't have an internet connection, and
it was a nightmare back then, wasn't it?
So I ended up putting an EMG 3-band circuit in, which worked really good, but it just didn't have the JD sound. And then in the end, the neck was causing me so many issues. I just sold it on. I just thought, I can't be bothered. I'm spending more time adjusting than playing.
Yeah, once you got those neck issues, that's it.
It was one of those. It was just a lemon, and there was no way of fixing it. You could have heat treated it for a month. It wouldn't have solved it. And the ebony was starting to pull apart on the board, and it's just like, nah.
What I've seen, what they're doing now is they basically take the bass, they saw it off around here, I think here, and they just replace the whole neck, and they make it like the glued in, you know. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. That's good. Whoever bought that off the bass center after me, I hope you're watching. Get there and get it sorted. John Cooper.
They just keep
I'm back. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, as long as they can sort the wood of the neck and the truss rod, you should be fine. What the problem was back then in '86, they just couldn't keep up with demand, and they had people there maybe who weren't as up to the job as they needed to be, but also they were having to rush instruments along the production line, and some of the wood wasn't seasoned properly, and you've got all those combination of factors, and occasionally some dodgy basses are going to go out there, you know. John Cooper, I'm back, and just in time, it seems. When I was at uni, I played a Washburn Status. Very good. 30 years later, having played only my Warwick Thumb all this time, I've just bought a 94 Status Series 2. I bet you're enjoying that, John Cooper. My dream bass since 6th form back at the end of the 80s. I followed your maintenance video. Thank you. Really helpful. And aside from a couple of dings, it's now glorious. Excellent. Splendid stuff. Thank you for watching the video. Glad it was of use. There we are. You found your dream bass. Excellent. Excellent. I bet that's quite a change playing a Status Series 2 compared to a Warwick Thumb. You're not out here anymore. Get an Alembic, you can be back out that way, I swear. Get a taxi for the low F.
Is that a problem with the Warwick Thumb?
Well, yeah, there can be. Very long neck. I think some thumbs are 35-inch. It's quite a long tapered neck, and it sits out.
Why do they do that? I mean, yeah, 5-string for a low B, but you know, I prefer 34. My hands aren't big enough, you know.
But then we're talking this beast, and this is 34, and this is just. Hold on. So if I strap this beauty on,
Oh wow,
yeah, and it's
that's
right. So
beautiful.
there's you can see me. It's
Incredible.
quite a reach.
This is the holy grail of bass.
It's one of them.
Yeah, it's one of them. But for
But
me,
that F is, you'll feel it on your arm if you're on a long gig. But nothing sounds like it.
an unmistakable sound. I've got to say, Mark King, the video. Did you ever see that documentary where someone goes to the Isle of Wight and he's in his
Michael,
studio?
yeah, Michael Benton, I think it is.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah,
just playing unmistakable, and he on the guaranteed video as well, guaranteed live video.
Yeah.
Incredible sound, beautiful sound.
That's your series too.
Yeah, you know what really did it for me is when he's playing, the intro of Children Say, and he's got like a chorus effect on it, and he's just doing these bending, in the intro. That is like the best sound I've ever heard. I mean, that is incredible.
Around that, I still think it's between the Alembic Series 2s and the Status Matrix. No, that's got a place in my heart, but I still think the Status Matrix for the gigs that you use that on, that sound just bolstered that whole band.
You sent me the tape, didn't you? The link to the tape. Yeah, it's amazing sound. Yeah, I love that sound. But for me, it's guaranteed. I love even the Status bass, that 5-string Status headed bass sounded amazing on that gig. That sounded amazing.
And yet when I played it at the bass center, it just sounded horrible. It sounded just absolutely horrible. I could have bought it. And I was like, I'm not paying $2.5 grand for that. Yeah, you would. Well, that's the thing. It's like I could have gone in there if it had been like modern day. I could have gone in there with a serious credit card and just bought a ton of those instruments, but I didn't.
See, back then I was broke back then. I mean, I couldn't even.
Likewise.
I was a full-time musician back then, and I was playing this.
That's what was earning your crust, mate. Exactly.
That was my bass back then. That's
all right. Yeah, we've all been there. Let's just check the emails, see if there's anyone else coming in on the chat. No one yet. It's all good. But yeah. So what's happening in the world of bass with you lately? You gigging you've always got a couple of basses on order, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of giving up with JD. I don't know what's going on.
I think you'll just be waiting for a while. It will come through eventually.
Yeah. I mean, they're lovely guys. I mean, I don't want to hassle them, because they're going through a lot recently, and I mean, they're doing some fantastic work. That's the thing, I wouldn't want to hassle them because I wouldn't want them to rush,
of course,
what they're doing, So I'd rather it take longer. But no, in terms of I've just started playing bass again last week after not playing since we last. I was coming here,
Yeah, it's about 6 weeks ago.
No, I mean before that.
Oh right.
So I haven't been playing for about 10 months. I haven't played,
right?
Because of, you get sidetracked with work and stuff.
It's called life.
Yeah, with life, yeah.
That's exactly it.
So I want to. So anyway, this past weekend, Sunday, I went out around London. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try and hit every Sunday. I'm going to walk to go for a walk, go to a jazz club. So I went to the 606 in Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
Because if you go to the websites, they're like 4 years out of date. They don't update the websites anymore. No one uses websites anymore. No. I don't know socials. I don't know how people know what's going on. But anyway, I went down there and they don't do any jam nights, So I think I'm going to try the Vortex in Hackney this weekend.
Good luck to get back from there.
Yeah, that's the problem, because I'm southwest, So
deep dark Hackney.
Yeah, and it's probably not the safest place to walk around with a really expensive bass.
No. I went to Hackney last year to collect a Ibanez Talman, not the most expensive bass, and I actually feared for my safety on the way back. It was like I couldn't walk quick enough to get away.
See, this here is my main jazz bass. You know, this is like if I'm going to go to a jazz jam, this is the bass. I mean, this is just in, you know, for funk and stuff. You know, the Status is 10 times better. You know, the Status, that twang, you can't even, not even in the same universe. But this here for jazz, you know, for the stuff I do in jazz, the Jacko sound, this is incredible, this bass, you know, and the playability, you know, the neck is just so straight, and it's just the best playing bass I've ever owned. I mean, it's beautiful. You know?
That's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible, but it's very limited for me in what it does, you know. It just does that one Jacko sound, you know, that I like. If I want to do anything else, then the jazz bass I've got the fretless, I've got the Status bass. The Say bass, I haven't actually. I've had it now for at least 6 months, and I haven't used. I played it for about 10 minutes. Every time I pick it up, the controls are so complicated. Just getting a good sound, you know, is a nightmare, and it will come eventually. But it's it's a bass where I think you've got to just use the bass and just use that bass for everything for a while to kind of
sit
on with it, you know. But you know what? I've got such a good sound
in some way.
Yeah, I've got such a good sound with this JD. I've got my fretless bass. I've got my Status and jazz bass for the funk stuff. I don't, you know, do you know what I mean? It just works.
Yeah.
We'll change it, you know. But no, what I want is the to get into because you know the JD is probably not going to come for at least another year, probably. You know, I think what happened was
they got one or two on order.
I've got 2 on order.
Yeah,
but I think what happened was John. He said, you know, because I'm an ex-customer, and I said, oh, can I get on the list? He said, look, because you've ordered a bass already, you can just go fast track you on. And
that's nice.
But the trouble is like, you know, obviously there was too many people on that list. You know, there's too many of us, I reckon. You know, it's
a growing list as well.
It's a growing list, yeah. And there's just, you know, they're just inundated, and I'm somewhere on the list, but you know, they're going to get to me eventually. You know? So yeah, so you know what, I'm really looking into buying. So I've been waiting for one to come up on Reverb. Nothing's come up. I haven't seen anything for like a year now, and that's a bloody Goodfellow bass.
Well. That was the daft thing, because a couple of years back they were turning up quite regularly. People cashing in. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen anything for at least a year now. I haven't seen anything
around about probably from about 2007 through till about 2014. They would come up regularly on bass forums, Loot, eBay.
Yeah.
And they weren't that expensive. Some of them were like 900 quid, 1,000.
Wow.
They've got like
they've become cult, haven't they? They've become
about time, frankly.
Yeah. You know, they've got a Facebook page. They've got a pretty cool Facebook page.
I think because he's just not producing as many as he did, they're not seen as often as they were. So people that want them and keep them. But you know, it'll be the same old thing as and when, heaven forbid, when Bernie passes, they'll suddenly go up in value. Suddenly they'll become highly desirable. And it's like, you could have had them when he was making them.
You know what? I might just get one on order. I might just buy the boat.
Do it. Do it. He'll probably turn it round in about 5 months. So
yeah. I just want that orange Mark King bass.
The orange quilted one.
Yeah, I want these.
They're out there. They are out there. And the daft thing is, you know what will happen. You'll put in your order and suddenly a load will come up secondhand. And you'll be like,
yeah.
And that one that had the green LEDs that went through Bass Direct and various forums, that wasn't that expensive when it last went. I think that was like 950,000. I think, I'm guessing.
Wow.
But I remember looking at it and thinking that price is very cheap.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's very low. Yeah.
but I can't recommend them highly enough. They are, but again, if you are on a gig and you're using a Status and then you go to a GB, it's a totally different sound. Totally different.
I mean, you know those Rockplatz German videos that Mark King played on with those Goodfellows. Amazing sound. That was incredible. Obviously, he probably wasn't going into the Ashdowns. He's probably just going right out into a DI.
No, I think he was going into the Ashdown. You'd have been getting some of the Ashdown through on that signal, yeah.
Okay, so going out of the Ashdown, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Amazing sound.
It's a shame he didn't do any well, the only album that would have the GB on would be the Live at Jazz Cafe 1999. But again,
right, yeah.
Let me think.
Was that the Bitter Moon era?
It was a year after.
Yeah, I mean, the sounds that I remember that gig. I did hear that some live tracks. That was great. The sound on that.
The Jazz Cafe sound is great, and that's with the GB. But I don't know if that's with the Ashdown or not. I think it was. I think it was the following year. So 2000 was when he was using Eden, and again that was Bernie that was hooked him up with that. Because Bernie wasn't doing the EBS stuff at that point.
No, Eden went well. It was the TC Electronics that didn't go well.
And then he had he had a custom-made Trace Elliott head made for him. That didn't last, and then it was back to Ashdown. He just couldn't settle on amplification for a while. And then the Ashdown stayed until TC, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never rated. I mean, no, Ashdown are great, but it's not my sound. It's a rock sound. I think it's great for like something where you want a bit of dirt in the background. You like John Ennon whistle, you know. You want a bit of Jack Bruce, you know. I got to say, that's what I wanted to say. Jack Bruce. I recently, because I'm a Jack Bruce fan, you know.
Right.
But the '60s Jack Bruce with the EB3, you know. And recently I heard him play with the Gary Moore trio he did with
Gary Husband.
Sorry, it was Gary Husband, Gary Moore. BBM, I think it was called. And no, it was a Bruce Baker Moore one. Bruce Baker Moore. That was the album. Anyway, but also the footage, I saw some video footage of him playing his thumb fretless. And I thought, what's he playing a fretless for? What's he messing around with that? Just play a normal way. But you know what? I heard him play live, with this on this video, and he had an amazing sound and amazing intonation on this thumb bass, fretless. He was seriously good at playing, fretless.
It was really, like he's that combination of him and that bass is like, it's Hendrix and a Strat. It's like Stanley Clarke and an Alembic. It's like Jacko and his jazz. They're just made for each other. Yeah.
Because for me, Jack Bruce was always EB3, at the Royal Albert Hall, and but when I heard, but also in the '90s, it was the thumb bass, wasn't it? The thumb fretless, that was Jack Bruce. That was a Jack Bruce bass, I don't think anyone else really played it. I think the Miami Vice and the Sound Machine guy played one. That was it, really. It wasn't. Oh, Prince played one, didn't he?
Round about 87, 88 is when they started to become predominant. And anytime you saw music shows on TV, someone had a Warwick.
Yeah. I mean, I had a Streamer Classic line, which was stage 1 classic Streamer, but it was Sunburst.
Okay.
It was a Sunburst. Beautiful bass. Beautiful. And it was made in the original Warwick factory, or workshop, whatever, before they were taken over by Frame.
Old school.
Yeah, it was one of the original ones.
Yeah. John Cooper, may I ask a question about Status serial numbers? Yes, you can. On my 94 Series 2, the serial number is 2385 on the end of the headless neck and 2384 at the end of the walnut tone block under the bridge tuners. Does that make sense? It's a through graphite neck. Okay. That bass you've got, John, I'm going to ask you a question here. Didn't buy it from a guy called Robert Mitchell, did you? Because I owned a 1994 Series 2000 matrix, but those numbers don't. It's not the numbers that I'm. The only reason I'm asking is because in one of your messages you've said a 94 Series 2, but then you're talking about a totally graphite bass. But it's headless, so it's not right. Does that make sense? Through Graphite Net, bought from the Bass Center. Fine, thanks, John. Clearing that up for me. The only reason you've probably got the numbers is probably actually probably a human-based mistake at Status. It would be on the paperwork, the original paperwork, exactly what the number is. If you want to find out exactly what the number is, just email Dawn at Status. She has got a record of everything, and she will have the details on exactly which bass your exactly what number your bass is, and she'll tell you. But yeah, that can happen. It's like with Fenders, you can have a 63 neck on a 64 body. Stuff is made in bulk and then assembled at a later date. That's not necessarily the case with Status, but it could well be they were going through a very busy period at that point and probably making instruments like as many as they could get out the factory. So that would be why you've got two different numbers, possibly. Sorry, Bass Gallery in Camden. Okay. Well, again, I would say get in touch with Dawn. She's got the, if you like, the logbook. She knows what bass is what and what, you know, the materials are on every single bass, whether it's timber, graphite, all of that. She has all the specifics, so she can tell you. She'll be able to tell you. It might take a week or two to get a reply. Sometimes they can be a bit sort of like full on at Status. So if they don't reply for a couple of weeks, don't worry, she'll come back to you eventually. And you will get that conundrum rectified. Right, gentlemen and ladies, it is 1 minute past 11. I'm going to start winding up the live chat. I've got an early start in the morning. Thank you very much, Joe Goose. Fabulous to see you as always, you legend. Hopefully see you soon. I'm going to wish you all good night. Thank you very much for getting involved in the live chat. Live chat 76 here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. We will be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I've been seeing you subscribe to the channel, so thank you very much. Please give the video a thumbs up. Please feel free to share any of the videos across your socials, email, websites, however you wish to do so. Thank you for all the super chat contributions, super thanks, merch purchases and affiliate sales, all very much appreciated. I will work out what next week's live chat theme for the chat is going to be, and there will be loads of new content going up over the next couple of days. I know, because I'm editing it tomorrow. On that note, I'm going to say good night. Joe's going to say good night, and we'll see you all next week. Take it easy. Have a great time. Have a great week. Enjoy your bass playing. See you soon, boys and girls. Take it easy.